Welcome to the side. Welcome to the Sci-Fi Center, the place to be, where comic books and wrestling collide magically. Movies, TV shows, and pop culture we share. Get ready to rock. We're here to take you there. From superheroes to aliens in outer space.
Ugh, sorry about that. StreamYard crashed twice during that. Yeah, I mean, it wouldn't even come up at all. It wasn't even, I was watching me play the intro on YouTube, but it wasn't allowing me to interact, do anything. It's just kind of lame. What's up, man? Let me know when you're ready. All right. All right. Well, happy Saturday. Happy free comic book day, Saturday. If you guys have been following the social media, you pretty much know what I've been doing all day long. Been here the crack of dawn, which for me is 10 a.m. Anything a.m. is the crack of dawn for me. So, but it's been a fun day. Been a fun day. It's still happening right now. I will be open here till midnight because I am right in the middle of the city and I'm a couple blocks away from the strip. And a lot of my tourists have been chiming in about Free Comic Day. So, still got some stuff left. And like I said, my favorite day of the year. Been a fun day. Let's make sure that we're synced up because, like I said, I don't trust StreamYard right now. All right, looks like we're on the air. Chat, let me know if I'm freezing or if I'm just talking to myself. All right, Brad is just now getting out of Thunderbolts. One of the last people to see it. I saw it Thursday night. We're gonna wait till he gets here to review it. I don't know why he waited till Saturday to see it, knowing that we were going to review it tonight. But hey, we are going to review Thunderbolts spoiler review. So if you have not seen it, I will put up the spoiler tab so that you don't have it spoiled. But come on, people, it's Saturday. What the hell? We're also going to go over some of the free comics, that we gave away, most notably, like this one, All In. One of the big baddies that's in Absolute Universe has been revealed, Mirror Man. So, and then there's a couple other things that came out that I got a chance to look at. Some of the stuff, the Hellboy one that was here is gone. The Zelda one is gone. So there's a couple of ones that we ran out of. But like I said, it's been that kind of day. Wearing the cat ears right now because I really don't feel like dicking around with the sound, especially if there's a delay between StreamYard and YouTube, which it looks like there is. I still have yet to get my notification that I am live. So, does the PIM particle sell in the Marvel Universe? I mean, I'd have to go back and watch Ant-Man to see if they even bring that up. I really enjoyed Thunderbolts. Favorite characters, Zayana, Bucky, Ghost, U.S. Agent. Sentry also liked how the Red Guardian was being a fanboy over Winter Soldier. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that that I don't like David Harbour in. He was the best thing about the last Hellboy movie. He's great in Stranger Things, and him and Florence Pugh were the best things about Black Widow, because I really thought that was a lackluster movie, but they kind of carried it. And Ghost, was one of the cooler things about Ant-Man and Wasp. Let's see. Sentry was scary, yeah, especially when he did the Void. Like I said, the Void. That's not a spoiler. If you watched the trailer, you know that the Void. And if you know anything about Sentry, you know that the Void is part of it. So, and last but not least, probably the last person in the hemisphere to see Thunderbolts, Johnny Come Lately himself, Brad.
Hello, everybody. Yeah, I mean, I told everybody on the show, it's like I probably wasn't going to be able to get out to see it on Thursday, and I wanted to on Friday. I just wasn't able to make that work either. So, I'm there behind on these things,
Meanwhile, I was there Thursday night with the review.
If my Dan, maybe you should like call my theater and say like add like show times an hour later at night, so you actually make late shows like I used to.
I can't transform Mayberry. You're gonna have to move to like you're gonna have to move to a city. You're gonna have to move to a city. I know Georgia has cities. You got to move to Atlanta. How far away from you from Atlanta?
It's about 3 hours. About 3 hours drive.
Wow, damn, you're in the sticks, homie. Do you ever hear the Deliverance banjos just out of nowhere?
Oh, stop it! You've been here, man. You know what it looks like.
I'm just surprised that they don't have later showings. I mean, but I'm spoiled because I'm in Vegas.
See, they used to, and then just that we got COVID, and that's like usually the latest they'll go to. The main theater I go to is it will be at 9:30. Now, if I want to, I can probably get like a 10 o'clock one on a Thursday or Friday night if I go out to the Pooler one, because Pooler's like, town like right next door to Savannah. And that's, it's not too bad. It's a drive of like 5-6 miles, but it's like, I also like the staying out that late and then having that kind of drive coming back, necessarily.
No, I'm all just like today. Yeah. My sleeping patterns because I had to be here early. I'm usually here at 11 anyway on Saturday, because Saturday is obviously the long day. We're here till like 12 on the clock. So, but I wanted to make sure everything was set up, and then we had rain today, and obviously if you guys have seen a tour of the store, you know what I've been going through with my Cuban Missile Crisis era roof. I can't really progress into the areas of the store that I want to, because if it rains, I obviously have an industry that's in a lot of paper. So I've been doing a lot today, and I might even give you guys a tour as we get into the show, just to let you know where I've some of this progress I've made. But I can't really make progress into the one area that will alleviate all the clutter that I have sitting there, because the back half of the store, I'm pointing to what you guys can't see, but I literally have buckets sitting in my Star Trek area right on top, just waiting for the rain, because all it takes is a drop, and I get whatever rain ends up on this roof, I'm getting all of it. So that's the only downer to the days. Like I said, we had a little bit of rain some places in town. The next 3 days we're supposed to have a few drops, but so far so good. But it hasn't rained really hard since my landlord repaired the roof, so I don't know the test. I have to pass the test before I can feel safe putting some in there. But
okay. Before we get to that massive super chat, there, let's talk. It's a little bit more. Let me do a little more intro here, because of course, today was.
Oh my goodness!
Oh, he's taking this seriously, man. He's.
Oh, by the way, Perp, like I said, I saw your response. I'm not talking to the lizard. If I do have you on the show, it's got to be you. I can't
Yeah, so
because
we started.
I'm
You know what? Fuck
responding
it.
to that
Fuck it.
lizard and it's driving me
Yeah,
crazy.
fuck it. I'm just gonna pull it up right now. That's a
Go ahead and read it.
$50 super chat from Little Movie Per evening, gentlemen. It is time.
You ready?
Whether it be tonight or so we got you got a customer, man. Okay, I'll
Nah,
keep it.
we have customers coming throughout the show half the time, so it's
Okay,
really.
gotcha. Whether it be
I'll
tonight
mute
or a night, you're
myself right
choosing
now, so-
Perp and Raj Brad at Daily Destiny. Guys and gals punching, kicking, the dance of all dances. No he said, okay, he said no Raptor, William. Real Perp martial arts action film talk. Okay, yeah. So we discussed this a bit a few nights ago. Where it's the first time I've ever seen my name in a YouTube video's title. So I guess I know. I guess I'm getting famous. Yes. Now, Perp, to address real quick the reason why I was not, I would not have been able to, your birthday, which happy birthday, man. I wouldn't have been able to make that anyway because I don't know if you're aware. I also, outside of my, my journalistic work with a number of different outlets, I also am an assistant instructor in a martial arts school. And specifically, because that's also become like a bigger and bigger part of my professional life. And Monday through Thursday, I'm in there 3 to 9, so I wouldn't be able to make that anyway, unfortunately. But yeah, you've been very definitely, trust me, man. Your request has definitely been relayed and heard. I think William kind of wants to, as far as like tonight, I think he wants to kind of keep the focus on Thunderbolts, and which does have great martial arts in it, to be clear, and a free comic book day. But let me go ahead and sleep on this for a little bit, man, and I'll get back to you about like what kind of date and time would be best for that. But yes, I mean, I said $50, and honestly, it's like I probably would have said yes anyway because like it just when I saw that thumbnail, because Fourth, DM'd me that day or about, hey Brad, like this is going on. It's like my name's in the title, and they're asking about. So okay, you want to do it, man? Let's go ahead and make it happen. So yeah, just let me sleep on it for the next night or two, and I'll get back to you about scheduling the date and time. Now, if I do, and I don't know if she necessarily would be able to make this, but I do also request that if she should so desire, you allow my baby sis Erin to come on with me, because she's of course very much in that realm with me as well. So, but yeah, so short answer, yes, it's been heard. So again, give me a day or two, and I'll get back about like we can kind of work out a date and time, man. But thanks for the super chat. Yeah, Perp with $50 pot. Oh, because he well, I mentioned like offhand a couple weeks ago or something. Or like I think it was Perp actually is in the chat who said like, hey Brad, what kind of like super chat do I need to to bring on the channel to talk about martial arts films? And I just kind of threw out there, okay, $50. It's like, and he was a man of his word, so okay. Okay, but yeah, it's that'll be give me a little bit of time to kind of work the logistics out of that, and because I've also got other kind of big events coming up this May, actually martial arts related. Actually, I have a black belt test coming up at the end of this month, so yeah, that'll be a big thing I'm definitely prepping for. But let me get give it a day or two here. I'll get back to you, and we'll kind of get all the chips in place for that. Okay. I love Aaron. Yeah, of course, everybody does. Come on. Aaron's my sis. We discovered this through the Sci-Fi Center meeting, and it's like, I mean, it's just, I mean, we only need to get a DNA test. It's like either one of her parents came over here, one of mine came over to Australia, but either way, it's like, it's so obvious. It's like, we look alike. We're into the exact same things. We're both martial arts people. It's like, we're simpatico on so many things. Like, come on. Nobody could deny it. We don't, yeah. It's William directing traffic, I guess, maybe. All right, let's see what else you guys got for us. Let's get started here. Go back up here. And by the way, also when I mentioned Aaron, it's like again, I'm not saying she like definitely could do it at the same time I did. I'm just saying like if I want to invite her aboard, it's like just So keep a spot open for Aaron as well. All right. Okay. RJ asks, William, you still mute, man.
No, I just unmuted
Okay.
because we were talking.
Good thing you had a customer because you couldn't chew me out about like acknowledging my sister as such. So
yeah, well, don't. Yeah, it's not Aaron. So, all right. So thank you, Little Movie Perp, for the $50 support. That's massive, dude. Thank you.
Mm.
What did you guys settle? Did you guys settle on when you guys are gonna meet?
I told him I'm gonna give that because I wouldn't have been able to. Like, his birthday stream. That's when he'd wanted to have me on, and of course the whole like put my name. But I wouldn't have been able to make that anyway. But so I said, yeah, give me a day or two to kind of like pin down what might be the best time and date. We'll kind of go from there. And I think he'd mentioned also he tends to kind of be streaming at different times than we are. So like maybe like it's during over the weekend, like a weekend time might work best.
Cool. Like I said, lizard free on this show.
Right.
Lizard free. Damn it. All right, where are we at? I missed a little bit. I had people in the store.
Well, it's mainly that, but RJ asks, what did they have for Free Comic Day? We don't have a comic store where I live, sadly. Oh, that's so tragic, man. So I have to buy all my physical copies from Midtown Comics and their website.
Yeah, Midtown. I don't like dealing with nothing against Midtown. Nothing. This is not a knock on. Yeah, not a knock on Midtown and all these other ones I got to deal with. But when I came up in the '90s, it was Diamond and like Kitchen Sink and all these other guys, right? As much as Diamond has driven me crazy up to when they split everything, man, it was so easier, much easier when it was consolidated. Now you got random Lunar, and then you have you can get some stuff from Midtown, but like I said, it volume wise, they don't, it's not easy for me. So yeah, that does suck. But you should there are other outlets, RJ, that have consolidated it, and as long as you're not a retailer, you could probably get them a lot easier. And but I don't know if what they do for Free Comic Book Day. But for Free Comic Book Day, shit. I'm down to one table. I started out with two tables. Hold on, let me go just grab.
Yeah, and I stopped at my place too to get for Free Comic Day as well earlier. So they had some this pretty good ones. I'll pull mine up in a second here. Yeah, Fort set. Pull it up here. Where are the Fort says he'll be last for to see Thunderbolts. Yeah, again, as said before, it's like it's just, scheduling wise, I just can't get it. I just don't make it at the theater on Thursday nights like anywhere near as much as I used to pre-COVID, and then and again, it's a combination of that, and also again just the main theater I go to, usually their latest show times are about 9 or 9:30. So that's if I make it, I'm usually scrambling on a Thursday night to do that. So I'm having to wait a lot more until Friday or Saturday nights.
Loser.
It is what it is.
Come on. All right. Well, so this was the one for me. This wasn't the best one, but it was the one for me that I thought was cool. It's the Superman Unlimited, the DC All In. But what was most important is it ties directly into the All In and the Absolute Universe. Reveals the enemy. One of the big enemies in Absolute Universe is Mirror Man. This version of Mirror Man. So this is just like everything that has DC All In and Absolute in it. It's a flip over. So it starts out with in the normal universe, the Anchor universe that we're in right now, the regular one, and then it flips over into the Absolute. So Mirror Man is revealed to be one of the major villains. Also, if you have not been reading Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman, you'll know that Ra's al Ghul is the main person. And Brainiac, a disgusting version of Brainiac, is actually working for him. So it's been kind of a flip there. Fantastic Four plus Giant Size X-Men. Obviously, Fantastic Four is, coming out on July 27th, but it also has a running current title that this runs into. Everything that they got, that most of the main titles and even some of the indies put out was leading to storylines that are currently going on. So the main gist of it these days is to get you, to give for free of charge, to give their titles a chance. And maybe while you're in the store, you might want to pick up what this connects to, or you don't have to. You can give yourself some time. But that's what the main thing was this one for. And it crosses over to its own version of Giant Size X-Men #1. So that's what that was. You are brushing up against something hard there, guy.
Yeah, brushing my hair there.
Okay. Post Malone. This in each one that this is if it was red, it wasn't necessary for kids, but you know what? We had parents in here with them. So Post Malone came out with Big Rig. Those of you who know Post Malone, he's a guy, pop singer, tattoos on his face. He did the song for Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Sunflower. He did Sunflower. That was the main song. Really liked that song, but he wrote his own comic, and it actually has some pretty decent artwork. A lot of times when they do Free Comic Book Day, I'm not going to say they cheapen up or they don't spend as much production value on these because they're free. But now, since they're used mainly as a promotional tool for several different things, there's a lot of these things that came out this year that were really good. They even, for the first time that I can remember, and this is for a customer because these are all gone. That one that I just showed you with the DC All In, Superman Limited, I don't remember them doing chromium covers, and they did one this year, and I thought that was cool. So this belongs to one of my regular persons who will probably be in before the show's over. We did Batman, Fear State, and I Am Batman. Two storylines from the last few years of Batman that were actually really good sellers before Absolute Batman, and it goes into those two storylines. It's more of a continuation to Fear State and I Am Batman, which are two really good. They were the best non-black label Batman titles that came out that year. Marvel Voices, which is promotes diversity, heritage. This one is about women. This year it has Storm, Ironheart, Mystique. They come out with one every year, and usually it's a diversity and inclusion, or whatever. It seems like a bad term these days, but it's basically voices, meaning people, marginalized communities that don't have voices. For that part, that's what this book is about. Does pretty well. This one I hadn't heard of. This is one of the more adult ones. I Hate Fairyland. Once again, as I flipped through it, it's kind of a perverse story, but it's got like really inviting graphics to it. But the stuff that goes on, it's kind of violent. But once again, this was really good artwork for some of these non-Marvel DC. Image always does a good job for pre-comic book day, but this is something. Nice little spreadsheets, and usually, from what I've when I flip through these things as I'm setting them up, they're not as many pages. It's literally just it's a free comic, it's promotion. This year, most of these went all the way through. They're almost like the same amount of pages as a normal one does. This one, Isaac Omnibus, the anime, reads backwards just like they do. Once again, pretty detailed, lots of nice splash pages. Almost every one of these had a cool kick-ass splash page. It's almost like they wanted to grab you right there and then. They know for a lot of people that have gotten out of comics because they can't afford them. This is the opportunity for people to get back in. This is the all-in one. I've already showed you the non-chromium version. That's the one we flipped reverse. This was the one that really flew almost as fast as Hellboy, and Zelda. Those are people came in, asking for extra copies of those. I don't know why. Transformers Energon. This is actually a really good selling comic. I have the GI Joe and Transformers lines that Image is doing have done really well, and these connect right to them. It's got Transformers. The nice split cover, and everything that's in here is consistent with the book that's currently out. So it's a logical jump to that. If you like Transformers, if you like Energon, it's been doing well for me. This is one of the ones I'm almost out of, and we actually ordered quite a bit of those. This one's another one that did really well today. Godzilla's everywhere. There's a
I got that one today when I got my
Godzilla's this artwork is amazing. Godzilla is fighting Hulk this month, and I don't know if the cover is ridiculous. It's him toe to toe with Hulk. Hulk is like 7 feet at best. Godzilla's 30 feet. The cover's ridiculous, but it's hilarious.
Really, Hulk's only 7 feet, like canonically.
7 feet.
Really? Okay, so I was. I mean, I was kind of. I
Well,
mean,
when you go MCU, it gets ridiculous. Now he's
yeah.
like
Well,
10
well,
feet,
well,
but
'cause- well, he's fluctuated in like his height in a lot of places. Like
yeah,
he's sort of varied between comics and live action. He's sort of varied between like 7 feet to about 15 feet.
which is ridiculous. The 15 feet is stupid.
Mm.
7 feet is the standard what Hulk is, because remember, um, he that's the one thing that he does not do. He doesn't grow with rage. He's generally 7 feet
His
tall.
strength gets bigger with
His
rage. But
strength gets better and his healing gets better, but
yeah, I'd
he
say
himself does not add mass.
yeah, I'd say MCU wise, he's probably about 9 feet tall, about 9 or
Yeah,
10.
which is a lot. You can go 2 feet, but when they make him look like King Kong, that's ridiculous. There's Godzilla wrecking some shit. This was a really nice one. This was by ID. Free Comic Day. The kids were loving this one. Like I said, the kaiju in here, they did a real job with some of the graphics in here.
Yeah,
I had
I
a lot of
saw
fun
that.
reading that one.
I saw that in the whole layout in my my comic store day. But all the ones that were
Yeah.
free. Oh yeah, I'm totally getting that. Oh, I got that one too. I got Spidey too.
Ultimate Spider-Man with the maker on the cover. If you haven't been reading the current Ultimate Universe, really jump on that. I jump on Wolverine right now. Wolverine's a really good one to jump on. Ultimate Spider-Man's doing fine. But like I said, I think there's some other titles. Ultimate Black Panther's good. The only Ultimate title that I'm not really feeling right now is Ultimate X-Men. I kind of gave up on that one because it was just I didn't really recognize it as X-Men. So I kind of gave up on that. It still does well, but so that's just some of the stuff I have. Some of the other stuff I ran out of. I have the Star Wars ones here, but I didn't take a look. The Conan one. I have a Conan one that is the only one I have left
From
is
today. So I
yeah.
don't think I saw that in my.
Yeah, it was one of the ones everybody got shorted on.
Okay.
Scourge of the Serpent. I love this cover. I used it as a thumbnail, as you can kind of see.
Yeah, I'm going to show what ones I got today. So I got the Superman one you showed earlier from the all-in Superman special. Yeah, I got the Spider-Man one you just mentioned.
Mark Spears Monsters. This is doing well. This might be one of the ones that might get value, that might creep up in value as a free comic book. And the artwork in this is like it's painted. It looks like. I mean,
Pennywise.
It's beautiful. He came out with they came out with issue 4, and they had mock-ups of the Killing Joke that he made with this clown, and then he did Amazing Spider-Man 300 markup. So yeah, these are ones that we're running really low on. There you go. All right, what'd you get?
And also, so I got the Superman, Spider-Man ones you showed. I got the Godzilla one you showed, and the last one I got actually. This is a show I discovered rediscovered, say about 5, 6 years ago on Disney Plus. Started revisiting from my childhood. Gargoyles. This show.
Yeah,
this show is
I
like,
got that one.
yeah. I forgot how much I love that that series. I'm so glad it's on Disney Plus to revisit because that was an awesome show. Gargoyles, on Disney. So yeah, comic form, and then there's a couple I actually bought today too. With that, I finally got Absolute Flash #2. I got what I got here. I got this is one I thought at first this was a free one, but it was kind of stacked alongside them. Was right here was Gunslinger Spawn. So yeah, like you said, Image.
Put that back up. Put that back up.
Gunslinger Spawn.
Hold on.
Did you have that in today?
Hold on. My screen froze on me.
Huh.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, so it wasn't like a free one, but it was like $1. But like you said, Image, they're pretty good about capitalizing on Free Comic Day. And then the last one I actually bought was with William's favorite fictional character of all time, the Daywalker. so
That's about the only time it moves on Free Comic Book Day, unfortunately.
Well, this is like a new kind of like it's not Marvel Knights, but it is like a new series they started in the last few. I love how they do the same with Daredevil right now. They've got it. It's it's definitely an adult oriented version. They got the plastic bag and with a label.
Yeah, and they did that for Daredevil too with Muse on the cover, and then you open it up, it ain't that bad. Like,
well, I would show it to a 5-year-old.
Well, I would show any Daredevil. That's true. That's what was me at age 5.
But yeah, it's a pretty fun free comic book day. Let's see. Music Man says I didn't get a chance to go any comic store today. I was sick and tested. Oh, sorry to hear that, man. Here's RJ's Brad's article headline from this morning made did it? I didn't even share it.
What did you do?
Okay, well, actually, first there's actually two that I had actually quite a few go up on Complet today. The first one I'm going to show is it's not the one RJ is referring to, but it is one that I know is probably going to annoy William.
That's a lot lately. But what do you do?
Yeah. I'll just let you read the headline, man.
What? Okay. Is there a disclaimer that you were smoking something when you wrote this?
I was very lucid, man.
Do you truly understand what you were writing?
Oh yeah, I went down, man. I was like, this is 9-year-old me was like, I was all about this when this happened. So, but this is not the one RJ was referring to, but I shared it anyway because I thought, well,
yeah, because
there's one set of feathers I know was going to be ruffled by that article.
You need to be tested where you write these things.
DC versus Marvel was a very fun
absolute
time, everybody.
Crash.
But anyway, going back to RJ's comment, Brad's article headline from this morning made waves on social media. Boy, did he troll DC fans hard and get them. And again, I didn't even share that article. I'm going to pull up in a second here. But
how did he know about it then?
Well, I guess other people did. Well, I know I've seen a couple of people that I know share it, but I mean, nobody got pissed off at me about it today, which I was, I thought I might get some kind of backlash to it. I have to respect the dedication. Well, let me be clear about something. With the one I'm about to show, it's like when I write a thesis like this, or really when I write a thesis on anything, it's I'm not working backwards from the goal of angering anybody. I'm just, I have an analysis on a particular topic and I'm just kind of putting it out there for people to, see. And they can either agree with me or not. I mean, that's it's at everybody else's discretion, but
I didn't even see this one.
I'm going to pull it up.
Jeez, what did you do?
I'll just go ahead and pull it up right now. Come up. Okay, there we go. Yes, the title was I Don't Think James Gunn Superman Will Be Better Than Man of Steel, and DC fans need to accept it. Now,
did you really publish this?
Well, I didn't publish. I turned it in when people on editorial did. Now, let me be clear about something. It's I personally feel I was very level-headed and even-handed. I wasn't calling James Gunn any names in it. I mean, if I had, it wouldn't have gotten published. I wasn't expressing bitterness over anything. I wasn't expressing the whole super shit rumor. Although that started after I turned this in. I feel I was pretty level on this. I'll just gonna read some of the headlines for you guys real quick, and I'll put it in the chat so you can read the whole thing. Again, I've been very open and vocal on my feelings on Man of Steel and all the movies connected to that. Man of Steel left an impact on superhero movies still felt to this day. I don't think there's any reasonable argument against that. Going back, this is the second headline. A lot of Superman's plot looks like Batman v Superman Light with some jarring secondary elements. And then the third headline. Come on, work with me here. Third subheading. Where are we at?
You're getting lost in your own article.
Okay, here we go. Superman could be great. Well, I am the best writer who's ever lived. I mean, it's not hard to, for that to happen to me. Superman could be great, but Man of Steel is a high bar to me, especially with how misunderstood initially was. Now, that's the other thing. It's I did one here. It's I'm not ruling out that it's it's going to be good or could even be great. I'm just saying this is my thesis on this. Man of Steel, my reading of that, I think that's the best Superman movie that's ever been made. And people might feel differently. That's their prerogative. But with a lot of what we've seen, with the marketing and things and that's the key thing here. It's I go into what we've seen. This is not about when I say the context of why the Superman movie is is the one we're getting in the first place. I've done that elsewhere, but just purely on we're getting a new Superman movie. Here's what we've seen of it so far, and kind of contrasting it with what preceded it. Again, this is the kind of the thesis I reached. So again, but let me be clear. It's I'm not trying to, anybody who's looking forward to it, I'm not trying to tell you, not to look forward to it. I'm not, I'm not telling anybody to who. I mean, it's kind of similar to when I had the one about Age of Ultron a while back, where I said that it's you know, it's kind of an uncomfortable rewatch for me these days because of like context related to that. It's like I'm not, and I had actually had quite a few people, I guess, kind of take that differently than I intended. Like I'm not telling anybody when I write these things, how to feel. I'm just telling you this is my analysis. This is the conclusion I draw. It's like I'm not telling anybody you're not allowed to not like Age of Ultron because of X, Y, and Z that I wrote in that. And I'm not telling anybody you're not. It's not okay to look forward to James Gunn's Superman because I said X, Y, or Z in this. I'm just again, I look at the chips as they are. This is where I came away from it with. So, but yes, RJ, if I didn't actually see a ton of reaction to it today. I saw a few people that kind of share it, but again, I didn't have anybody like get angry with me at it. So it's like, was there like
that means it didn't get distributed enough.
well, I guess he seems to beg to differ. So I mean, did a lot of people like really just lose their minds over that? Because again, if they did, it didn't like reach me.
I can feel the heat now. I haven't. This is the first I've heard of the article. I can tell you, there's probably going to be because and there's that by design. I mean, it's. I don't know. That just sounds like there's a fight being picked there. I don't.
Let me go. I'm going to put the link in the chat so you guys can read it because again, I feel I was pretty even keel in it as
the headline. Whatever you thought you were trying to convey,
dude. I have
headline torches any.
I have written far more button pushing headlines than that. Trust me.
But that doesn't make that one any less of a flamethrower. Yeah. You're doing exactly. Oh wow! I'm glad I'm not on your Facebook page. They got the knives out for your ass.
Well, and listen, well, again, I haven't gotten trolled a whole terrible amount like as long as I've been doing this. But I think I shared like my favorites. I'm not easy to insult. It's like I let shit slide off my back all the time, especially when it comes to like people who like disagree with you about cave shit. It's like superhero movies, like who cares? So, but my favorite instance of me like getting any kind of backlash, anything I wrote, it has nothing to do with DC or Marvel. It has nothing to do with superheroes. It was I think I mentioned on here a couple weeks ago. It was about a couple of years ago. It was announced that Warner Brothers was going to be doing a reboot of Under Siege, the Steven Seagal movie Under Siege on HBO Max. And again, we haven't heard much about that since. So it's like I don't know if that's still on the docket. I know my boy, Timo Jahanto was attached to that. The guy behind The Night Comes for Us and Headshot and the Seattle Rays, and awesome dude, awesome. We'll probably be talking about that when I'm talking with Perp.
Yeah, because
but so I wrote. But I told you about this, right? Where I wrote that, and the article was about like who could be the new protagonist, taking on Seagal's role in that. And I, list off a couple different candidates, and I had this one guy. I guess it's like the last like big diehard Seagal fan left in the world. He just DM'd me after that and said he just was so furious the idea that I suggested you could do a reboot of a Seagal movie without Seagal. It's like, and I screenshot that. I showed that to everybody. I was like, oh man, like check out this bozo who just, it's like, this is the hill he wanted to die on was protecting our Steven Seagal. So that's my favorite instance of like me incurring a backlash or getting trolled on anything I've written. So, but I mean, Williams, of course, he's about as enthusiastic about the work of Steven Seagal as I am.
I don't think there's. I mean, he's been a turnoff on both ends of the cameras.
Yeah, well, he had some good ones at the beginning, but that's the thing. It's like almost all of his best work is within like the first 5 years of his career.
I would struggle to find that many.
No, Marked for Death. Come on, that was pretty good. And that that was. Yes, it was. It's like I mean, he just snaps people's arms for like 2 hours. Come on, that was pretty good. I thought the Glimmerman, the one he did with
and especially since then.
Oh, since then, yeah. Again,
not because of him.
Well, yeah. Well, also, it's like you can tell. Certainly, everything like from 2000 on, you can tell that. I mean, you can just tell he's being doubled for like 98% of his fight scenes, if not more. So, yeah. But
and he's an awful actor. So I mean,
yeah. Well, he doesn't have a lot of range. Yeah, but But see,
He's no ranged.
he was good in the beginning. That's when he was trying, he was good, and he was trying in the beginning. Then he stopped trying. So it's important as ever.
You and me must have watched a different beginning because he is sucked from. He's not an actor, and when his action it wasn't supporting anything, then it got like, okay, now you don't have anything to go on, dude.
And what he's got to go on now is he's Vladimir Putin's best buddy. You know?
Well, that's about it. He doesn't have to, ruin board.
Yeah, but yes, go ahead and give the article a read, guys. Against
go ahead and start some fights with your friends and family.
No, it's very level, guys. I promise this is not just the Snyder fan and me just like having a big pity party. It's like, I promise I was there, okay? And I will be there when the movie actually comes out.
That headline, it's like, I'm really not trying to start a fire as you have them matching a can of gasoline about to start a fire.
But yeah, you made me like RJ enough. You want to go through Twitter now, like try to find the reactions, because again, it's like I saw a few, but like if there was like a big powder keg like of anger, it's like I didn't make it its way to me. So I for whatever reason, it's like I know a lot of other writers they've written like things that put they've rattled people's cages, and it's like they've gotten way worse backlash than me for whatever reason. Like trolls just seem to leave me alone.
Either that or you blocked enough of them that you can't see this shit.
I don't block people unless they like come to like piss in my cornflakes.
Which is what they're going to do when they see this article.
Yeah, but again, what are they going to do? Jump through the computer and attack me? That's why I don't. For all the talk about like people getting trolled or people getting harassed or people getting threats online, it's like, not to minimize or to say that any of that is okay, but I've always laughed at it whenever it happens to me, because it's like this. How often does like anything like physical actually come out of these things where people just swearing at you online over cave shit?
No, because once they get you on the keyboard and in real person, it's never going to go down. But like I said, I'm glad you got your sport of shit starting out the way today.
I'm also going to put in the chat, the DC versus Marvel one that went out, because that's, of those two, that's the one I really had a lot of fun revisiting. I enjoyed writing that one.
I guess if you were 9 and didn't have any skin in the game, sure, anything could be considered great.
Here, that DC versus Marvel one, that's in the chat too, guys.
And then the amalgam that came from it was like, wow, dude. That's when the first time I realized just how bad it was for comics. That's what as a retailer, I'm like,
see, and the only thing
really
about
reached the bottom now.
See, the only thing in that, reading all the DC versus Marvel, the only element to that I took, and I say this in the article that I took exception to, was like, you cannot convince me that Storm would have beaten Wonder Woman. That's just like who, and that was one of the ones that went to a fan, because there were 5 of the fights. There was Superman versus the Hulk, Batman versus Captain America, Spider-Man versus Superboy, Wonder Woman versus Storm, and Wolverine versus Lobo. The others were written out, but those 5.
I thought wasn't it Wolverine versus Batman, or was?
No, it was Wolverine versus Lobo. It was Batman versus Captain America.
Because I know when they did the amalgam, they were all.
When they did the amalgam, they had because the characters that amalgamated, it was Superman and Wolverine, or Superman and Captain America became Super Soldier, and then Batman and Captain America became they became Dark Claw. So, but yeah, as far as like the actual fights that happened, those are the roster of it. But Wonder Woman versus Storm, that's the one where, like, you can tell that went to a fan vote, because like, come on, that's not how that would have gone down. But anyway, it's a very
it was Dark Claw was Batman and Wolverine.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the fight within the context of the story was Batman versus Captain America and Wolverine versus Lobo.
It doesn't matter. It was fucking horrid. And
read the article to everybody tell you why.
Did you interview anybody who had to sell that garbage?
No, this didn't involve any interviews.
Did you get any reference from anybody that had to endure that nonsense?
I'm going to go to my comments.
Anybody who didn't have enough bird cages to line that shit with?
You see, yeah, yeah, sis gets it.
And she's not your sister, and she wasn't old enough to really comprehend that. How old were you then? What are you, 5?
She was, she would have. Aaron's a year my junior. She would have been about 8 at the time. So sis. It's like I'm telling you, it's like we're supposed. You're dead right.
Whatever. You have to search for her to. I know. DC versus Marvel, in my opinion,
I am
from
gonna
my
go.
point of view, was absolute smoldering trash.
I am going to go to my comic book store and like ask the owner, like, what was your
Go
thoughts on
ask
that?
him. I'm interested,
Because I stream with a guy who like doesn't like it and owns his own comic book
and
store.
I want to know what era your owner, the owner, comes from too. I mean, if he's some guy who's in his 30s, that
Oh,
wasn't really having to
he's probably a little bit older than you actually. He's probably
was yeah. Now,
I guess
was he
I
in
guess he's in his
business
60s.
then?
That I
That's
don't
a
know. I couldn't tell
yeah.
you.
Like I said, it's easy to see a disaster. It's like you're passing an accident, and you just can keep driving. If you're in the disaster, it's a lot different point of view. Like I said, I don't think people really appreciate just how bad it was for comics in the mid '90s to late '90s. I think people look at it with revisionist history, and they can just pick up the books and read it and say, "Oh, that was great," and then there were if you it wasn't good, and is proof that it wasn't the time wasn't good. Marvel almost got sold to Michael Jackson for like less than $2 million. That's how
Oh, there's no
bad.
way no, they were not taking that seriously. Come on.
That was
Michael
the rumor,
Jackson.
and that was it. Because it wasn't worth anything at the time. It didn't get value until they started selling the IPs in mid 1996, and they had to sell them separately to separate companies. Marvel was almost bankrupt. It almost ceased to exist.
Yeah, well, they're still here. So
Yeah, but sir, for if you can be like a kid in the '90s and be a grown man in the 2020s and look back at it with a different perspective, that really doesn't exist.
Here's the other thing of to kind of tack onto that article.
I'm just saying, put a disclaimer from your point of view, which is fine, but you know.
Well, I don't know if I could say this because I'm never sure what I'm allowed to say about anything that's like I've written but hasn't been published yet.
Yeah.
But you might get into something else similar to that pretty soon. Okay, I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, like I said, I look at it as somebody who, like I said, those things are. Okay. And a lot of the stuff that went on in the mid '90s, like I said, people who weren't there can look back on it fondly, but I just can't because I was there.
I'm gonna share one more too because I had like 5 go up today. I had like a backlog like 17.
I can't believe you actually found enough positives to write an article about Marvel
I had a
versus
bunch.
DC.
I had a bunch go
Wow,
live because
dude.
I had a bunch that hadn't been published yet. So you're probably gonna like.
Was it a slow news week or something, or
No,
we didn't have
it's
any?
me pitching something. Here's another one I wrote about a movie that I like and William doesn't. Waterworld had a terrific comic sequel. Yeah, it's called Waterworld: Children of Leviathan. And so, now I don't know if Williams is as negative about that as he is about the DC versus Marvel, but that if you're a fan
I
of
had
Waterworld,
nothing to do. I wasn't a retailer stuck with a bunch of trash comics that they overprinted out of desperation when it came to Waterworld. I had nothing to do with Waterworld. Waterworld was basically a money laundering scheme.
Well, that didn't. I mean, also because I kind of say in the articles. I mean, that kind of the book Children of Leviathan. That kind of, and I've read. It's like I really like it, but it's also like I didn't find out until like long after the movie came out that there had been a comic book, a sequel. So it kind of came and went, but I feel like the movie itself is kind of getting more appreciation lately. But you guys notice it's like see, RG, you were talking about me trolling earlier. It's like if I'm trolling anybody, it's William right now.
Yeah, it was released in 1995, and wow, congratulations!
The movie was
on
released
30
in 95. The comic was
30 years later that it's gotten some traction. Wow.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
At that rate, why don't we just make movies for the afterlife? You know.
Yeah. We got that TV series that the director of Prey is developing. So it's the Waterworld follow-up series. Dan Trachtenberg is attached to.
All right. Was your mission just to find the most obscure shit that you could find this week to come into the show with?
Well, since I started like writing,
you found the show. You found the movie that at the time bombed so bad that it was almost got investigated, and you bring up Marvel versus DC, something that was literally like
whether something bombed as far as like
fourth string quarterback throwing a Hail Mary out of his own end zone, hoping somebody catches it. That's what that was.
And they caught it.
No, they did not.
They absolutely got it.
Then, Google heroes are born. Google heroes are born. Just like I said, I guess I will never be able to convey to you guys just how awful it was back then. And now people look back at it like it's roses. And I'm like, I'm sorry, if you shit in a bathroom, the smell doesn't change.
If Kevin Feige green lights that DC versus Marvel crossover, it's going to be real awkward.
I can see. First of all, Kevin Feige can't green light that. He only owns he's only in charge of half of the IP, and Warner Brothers isn't going to do it. You know why? Because even as bad as it's been for Warner Brothers and mediocre that people are always saying Marvel is, which is bullshit. They're never going to get that desperate again. The only reason you got that stuff and Amalgam and Heroes Reborn and all that stuff because of the desperation. It was an act of desperation. It wasn't an act of creativity. It was an act of desperation. So now neither of these companies, even DC, is doing so bad that they would be that desperate to pretty much wound their IP. It doesn't matter. He's not in charge. Warner Brothers is never going to do that. So it's dead on arrival. So let's bring up Let's bring up something that's actually relevant and that actually has a good history.
His buddy from the Guardians at DC now. I'm just saying.
His buddy from the Guardians is an employee, just like Kevin Feige is. All right. We wasted too. I wasted time trying to sell that garbage, and we wasted time talking about that garbage. Let's not bring Marvel versus DC up ever. Let's put that on the permanently banned list.
Aaron,
the waste of
totally
oxygen list.
Totally
listen, something being part of your childhood doesn't mean it isn't garbage, guys. Growing up with something doesn't make it good. I'm sorry. There's a lot of shit that's in my childhood that needs to fucking stay there. Sorry. Being part of your childhood does not equate to good. All right, I'm sorry, it doesn't. We could do an entire stream on shit that we grew up with that is like, oh wow, we didn't have anything else. That's your answer to that. Thunderbolts. Now that you've seen it, what did you think?
Let me put these down real quick. Yes, certainly. They're back on the bed. Yes, I just came back from Thunderbolts about an hour ago. Yeah, I enjoyed it. Overall, I enjoyed it. It was and the I now have a better understanding too of that asterisk there, and that's the. Are we doing a spoiler review?
Yes, in fact, hold on. All right, guys, I am putting the spoiler tab up for Thunderbolts. It's going to scroll down at the bottom. If you have not seen Thunderbolts, then as long as this is up, I'm going to give you guys a minute. I'm going to start at. Right now, we are at 55:16 at 58 minutes into the stream, which is going to be 10:08 our time here. That's when we'll start talking spoilers. That gives you enough time to turn off, get to wherever you're at, to turn off the computer or mute it or go forward. When you see the spoiler tab gone, that is when we have stopped talking spoilers in regards. So we got about 2.5 minutes. Then we'll go into it. That gives everybody a chance. To answer your question, what was worse, Death of Superman or DC vs. Marvel? In many ways, it's a tie because they were both done for the same reasons, in my opinion. They were done out of desperation. And they, in my opinion, this is going to be mine. I don't care if 99.9% of the world is against me on this. This is how I felt they're going through it. They did the same amount, in my opinion, the same amount of saturation damage as the other ones. I mean, and they weren't the only ones, by the way. It's not. I mean, this is the ones we keep bringing up because you guys are stuck on these two particular topics. But there were other factors in the '90s that really saturated the market and logjam collectors. And a lot of the stuff that they did, Chromium cover every other cover. Chromium cover used to be something special, and then it wasn't. These big, ginormous news grabbing stories were something that came along once in a generation, not once every year. You know, and you got the trend from the early to mid 90s all the way to the late 90s was we're not going to write stories. We're going to try to shock the patient back to life. You know, fuck putting them on a diet that keeps them from having the heart attack. We're going to wait till everything is dead, and then we're going to shock you back to life and hope you're paying attention. And they both, in my opinion, had the same effect. Death of Superman, less up to an extent, because those guys were actually trying to write a good story, but in my opinion, their directive was to get people from the outside in, you know, and those guys never stayed around. And everybody looked at Death of Superman and they started doing these things to get, you know, speculator buyers to buy the stuff, and it became like a junk bond. So I would say it's a dead tie, Aaron. All right.
It's not there.
We are now. It is one more minute. One more minute. Like I said, I don't want to
We, we,
hear any.
we didn't talk about like anything
spoiler.
with the movie, so it's like that spoiler lead in. It's like mostly talking about other stuff.
Yeah, but it's a buffer. It's a buffer. Okay, let's go. All right, we are now talking spoilers when it comes to Thunderbolts. I'm going to let Brad give his review, and then I've already given mine online. I'll put my review into the chat, but then I'll still talk about it. But go ahead, Brad.
Okay, yeah. So overall, I did really enjoy it. I think probably the biggest thing for me is that Florence Pugh as Yelena, because Black Widow, she was good in that, but I mean, I was just kind of on Black Widow. This is where I think where she really has shown what she could do with this character. She really, even though it's an ensemble, I mean, she really does take the lead of it. She really is the, kind of the point man, for lack of a better term, or point woman. She's you can see through, kind of her journey through it, that she's progressing to becoming more of a leader by the end, and so that's what I really really stood out to me the most. So is Yelena and Florence Pugh, how much she's really kind of found her groove already in this. And this is only her second time. Really found her groove, and really, I think you probably is pretty worthy successor with Black Widow. And also a perp. Interesting. I might be talking about this. A perp is like the fight scenes actually were pretty awesome. Probably some of the best in terms of like MCU movies. Excluding like any Daredevil, Born Again, or any of the shows or anything like that. It's probably cinematically the best like fight choreography they've done, probably since Shang-Chi. So that's definitely in the plus column for me. David Harbour, I just love that dude. I just love that dude in anything. He's really enjoyed him as Red Guardian. And by the way, I don't know if you caught this, William, but there is like a little bit of an in joke to his performance in Violent Night. There is like a Santa in joke.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder how many people caught that.
I caught it.
I wonder how many people caught that in the theater, because I mean it's a hard R, Santa Claus, action comedy. So I don't know how much overlap that is, kind of like the general audience and the kind of standard MCU audience. But I nonetheless kind of had a little grin at that moment. Yeah, really, the team, how they come together, they're and that's really kind of, I think, probably most people say is like any kind of ensemble, and certainly any superhero ensemble. You want the characters to have chemistry and function as a unit, and they really do that well in this. And it's I think a little bit more low key than what the kind of the Avengers establishes them from the start. Even like as the team is being formed, they're really set up to be kind of like these legends that that are just coming together. And these are kind of like these are the second stringers who are trying to fill that role in the in the Avengers absence, which of course that plays very much in the movie story. The whole kind of plot with Sentry. I really found that, especially in the finale, I found that really pretty well handled, because it involved a little bit of a different climax than I think probably a lot of people associate with Marvel, like with the whole like Shadow overtaking the city thing, and people like turning in these disembodied shadows, and
which was creepy as fuck.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was.
Which is the way especially with the little girl, when he's like, "You saved little girl," whack. I'm like, "Oh man, that's
because it's a little bit like Snap, but instead of disintegrating, they're standing here, and it's just like it's just literally.
You know what inspired that, right?
What, the Snap or
no,
Shadow?
the Shadow.
What was that?
Hiroshima.
Oh,
yeah, the way the shadows.
Yeah,
that's talking about it. Yeah, and that even made it even more creepy, man.
Yeah, I see what you're saying there, man. Because
it was whoa. I loved it.
Yeah, you guys. Again, it's like the whole thing, like the nuclear blast, like it leaves the shadow of the person.
Shadow of the person. You realize that was when I see the documentaries of that, and you realize that was a life that within an instant it was over with. That shadow is connected to a living being that had a life, that had a whatever, and it's just a shadow burnt into the ground forever. And so when I saw him doing that one after another, it was like, wow.
When he does it to the kid too, it's like, oh man,
out of nowhere. How he did it with the kid out of nowhere when you thought the kid was safe. Whoosh, like,
well, he does it to those guys in the helicopter and the security guards first, and so you think, okay, it's like this is a little bit of like the villain, like establishing states, like the villain, like taking out some some people who are kind of part of the resistance. Then he starts taking out kids and civilians. Like, oh shit, this is for real. And then when Yelena,
Everybody,
well,
yeah.
she's really rolling the dice there when she like walks up with that shadow
Yeah,
just
yeah,
standing.
that's some balls right there.
Because
Like,
she's
because
like,
you could just disintegrate.
she's like, I don't know what's going to happen here when I do this. And then what it doesn't kill them. They're kind of like transported to this other sort of shadowy void, and all of them end up going through it. And there's this battle in Sentry's mind between like kind of his dark side and his
And it's
his
in the
basic
void.
own.
It's not even his mind. It's in the void. He's
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the void with it. So
And so the way they kind of defeat Sentry is really it's kind of like pulling him back from his own darkness. So the kind of the finale is it's a little bit different than kind of like a usual sort of final boss fight. It's a little bit more of like an emotional kind of climax. And then
yeah,
the way and then the way
the best one, probably one of the best uh, third acts in a Marvel movie in the
yeah,
entire time they've been doing
yeah,
this.
I would say so. And then and then Julia Louis-Dreyfus, of course, as her wonderful, charming self. And the way she picks up that football at the end and runs with it because she's trying to wipe them all out. And like William, did you cover that in your review?
Yeah. Oh no, I just gave a base review.
Okay.
I talked more about it when I jumped on Film Junkie for a little bit last night.
Okay.
I wanted to choke her throughout the whole movie.
Oh yeah.
She's such a weasel type character. She's perfect in this.
Oh yeah. But the way, again, she's trying to like, first she sets them up to kind of like, take each other out when she like leads them all to this the one stronghold there, and the idea she's trying to like cover up all of her activities, but they're kind of like the evidence for
She
that.
tries to incinerate them.
Yeah, yeah. And then they escape, but then Valentine, like when the final battle is kind of over, and they're like, okay, we're apprehending you now, and they walk through this this one tarp that she set up, and they come on their side. Now she's got a news crew there. It says, hey, say hello to the new Avengers. It's like, oh, she took that football and ran with it, but I mean, she's still yelling. I like when she whispers in her ear. It's like, hey, we own you now. So
Yeah. Favorite part of the movie for me.
oh, I know what it is. Just go ahead and say it.
No, what are you talking about? No, guess no. You're probably wrong.
Oh, so it's not the end credit scene.
No, because I knew that was not a surprise to me.
For those the end credit scene, it teases Fantastic Four.
It doesn't tease. It's them. It's their ship.
Well, they don't appear, but their ship is arriving to Earth.
Yeah, it's them. Favorite part of this movie was the end of the third act where Robert, Sentry is literally fighting the void, and the void is talking to him like, "What are you fighting? These people don't mean anything to you. You're all alone. There's nobody out here for you." And you can see Sentry being consumed by the void because he's starting to believe in this. And at that particular moment, Yelena breaks out, and all she does is goes over to him and puts her arms around him, refuting the fact that
She's
that
telling
he was
you matter. It's like
yeah.
don't
Well,
need
telling him you're not alone, and then
yeah.
everybody else breaks out, and then
they do the same. They have a big group hug basically, and they walk him back from like this nihilistic mindset.
John Walker puts his arms, and then Red Guardian. All of a sudden, you have the Thunderbolts there, and then they pull him back, and that's it. That's what ends the immediate threat. And I thought that was a very well done moment because it, like I said on Junkie last night, the most important tool you can give someone who's in despair is the knowledge and the fact that they're not alone. And that thing when she put her arms around him like that. Not try to fight the void, not try to throw a dagger, not pull out her gun and shoot. Just literally, that's all she needed to do. And then when they all did it, when they all broke out from that, and as that, all these people who had lived for themselves and done all these things, they were there for that guy, and who'd been through his own thing. I mean, when they're in the chicken thing was funny as hell. The meth chicken, but he had been through. He was a meth guy. He was an openly. They deal with some stuff in this movie that is not traditionally dealt with, even in some of the darker Marvel universe. They're dealing with drug addiction. They're dealing with implied suicide. They're dealing with depression. They're dealing with loneliness. And it's an overarching theme throughout the entire movie, and it helps you. The reason why I think this movie is going to do well is because it's probably the most relatable in terms that the people sitting in the audience probably have more in common whether they want to say it out loud or not, than with the people in the Thunderbolts than they do a Thunder God, a billionaire, even if he's an alcoholic, a super soldier guy. Those people in that movie are probably more relatable to Joe Average or Jane Average that's going through all of that or some of that, and
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to root for these with these people as they go through it.
Yeah,
So
I have a better understanding when I think it was Florence Pugh who said this is kind of like Marvel almost making like their equivalent to like an A24 movie.
I keep hearing that. I don't. I'm lost. I'm lost. I've seen a lot of A24. Junkie said that that's what disappointed him is because he thought it was going to be like A24, and then it was lacking that. And I'm like, maybe I'm not a good identifier of what A24 is.
Well, they're an art
but
house studio. I mean, that's the best way to describe them.
yeah, but I think they're a tad beyond art, but that's fine. But I just didn't see it in this movie. I didn't see the recognition, but I was fine with it. I'm like, okay, somebody saw it, so that's why they brought it up. But and
You want to answer
the
this one?
comparisons with Suicide Squad are different. What's
Yeah,
up?
it's it's well, everyone's like likening it to Suicide Squad. It's like, yeah, it's not. That's apples and oranges. I think the whole like idea,
Nah,
like the rag bagging the
Taskmaster
Titans.
dies 2 seconds into the movie.
Yeah,
It's Taskmaster.
now that
He
is
died.
kind of like a little bit similar to Suicide Squad in the sense that it's like, okay, at least one member gets taken out right at the beginning.
Well, and that was to establish that they were there to kill each other. They basically used her as fodder. And by the way, I don't care if she took a slug to the head or not. It's Marvel fake death universe.
Yeah,
The only one that stays dead is Captain Marvel. Because remember, these universes are going away. Anybody who's died in the MCU that they want to bring back, they have a perfect tool to do it now because the sacred timeline will eliminate other things from happening. T'Challa is somewhere in as a variant, but once you prune it and create the sacred timeline, that's always going to be the Black Panther. The Black Panther will have never died. See what I mean? Just like mutants. Mutants, people keep asking me, hey, how are they going to bring mutants? How are they going to be mutants? No, they're going to prune this timeline, create one sacred timeline, and take all the other variant ones where mutants were, and they're going to make it so that there's always been mutants. So anybody who's dying that you may have wept over, if they want them back, you'll see them after Secret Wars. This is that's how Secret Wars did it in 2015. Not very well, but they did it.
yeah, that's true, not very well. But yeah, also the asterisk there on the title. It's like it's easier to understand once you see the movie because it's like Thunderbolts is kind of like their title. It's adopted from Yelena's soccer team when she was a kid, but
That they never won a game on.
Yeah, that's a running joke in it. But by the end, it's like the subtitle they have when they say like this character will return, that character will return. It says at the end the new Avengers will return. So that's what the asterisk is about. It's like this is the new Avengers.
I think what's going to end up happening as Sam builds the Avengers team, they will not be the new Avengers when it's all said and done. I think they will embrace the Thunderbolts because they will be hip. There's a certain pride, to be honest with you, and none of them really wanted to admit it at the end of that movie. When he's screaming it, you could kind of feel that they were warming up to it because they were becoming, like I said, these people didn't have anybody. These people really, John Walker doesn't. He has his family. They're strange. Lena had to go visit her dad after a year of him, not reaching out to her. Ghost is, she's the only one. She has to have a containment suit, just to stay alive. There's no social anything. All these people are they're all alone until they're not. And that was the whole theme of the movie. Like I said, there's a lot of dark shit in this movie. It opens up. I mean, obviously, within the context of her jumping off the building, which the words she's using before she jumps off that building. If you've ever heard or known about anybody that's jumped off of something to commit suicide, that's the kind of shit that they're thinking. Now, obviously, we knew our heroine wasn't going to happen. But when you see the gamut of emotions she's going through, and when they first come into contact with Sentry, the things she's gone through with the Red Room, that child being killed, that guilt she carried with her from childhood all the way to adult. Dude, these are things that affect people. Now, not everybody, the average Joe doesn't murder somebody or isn't forced to be an assassin, but people do things, and it eats away at them over time. Another thing was that the way they frame some of this stuff and the way they use Sentry to bring out the elements of these people that they just
Right
didn't
back.
like about themselves. The other thing I liked about it as well is, like, the same thing like I was saying last night. Same thing I like about Peacemaker and James Gunn's Suicide Squad and any other movie like that, Redemption, is these people all did what they thought was being asked of them. They all did what they thought was, what they were born to do, trained to do, and they've lived these lives, and they don't like it anymore. Something happens to where they have to take inventory of the lives that they've lived, and they want something better. This whole movie, aside from them just trying to survive, there's a same thing with a Peacemaker, same thing Suicide Squad. There's a heroic element that they wish they could have been. John Walker didn't start out to be a dick and to be some kind of murderer. Elena she never had a choice. Ghost never had a choice. Red Guardian grew up properly. None of these people. Bucky, same thing. Bucky had really no decision at how things turned out for him. And they just spiral out of control until they come together and they can start changing. And that's one of the metaphors about them not being the Thunderbolts and being the new Avengers, is because the Avengers in this universe are looked at the gold standard that everybody wants to be. Who wants to be this assassin that just has all this blood on their hands? So now they are heroes, and I think that was one of the things in the movie that I really enjoyed, the transformation and the journey of these characters. Plus, I already like these characters. I think they did a good job of building these characters in the environments that they were already in. Red Guardian and Yelena were the best things about Black Widow. Um, Wyatt Russell is excellent. He wasn't the best thing about Falcon and Winter Soldier, but he's great in it. And every time he's on screen, every second that Wyatt Russell is on screen, he gets better in that role. And same thing with Bucky. Same with Sebastian Stan. I mean, Sebastian Stan was perfect for this group. He's more perfect for this group than he was in Falcon and Winter Soldier. So I really enjoyed this movie on a whole bunch of levels. It wasn't an A-list movie. You didn't have the big guns in there, but you can feel yourself being drawn to the A-listers. When you're going to see a movie like this, that every step it takes, and obviously the end credit scene, we're still on spoiler talk, so is a satellite image comes up of a interdimensional breach that with the spaceship having gone through it, and we look out and it's the same ship that we see in the Fantastic Four trailers. Which there's no way that anything going forward is not going to have something with Fantastic Four. I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see Robert Downey as Doctor Doom in something leading up to this. But yeah, there's no way. Fantastic Four is the cog in which the story is going to be told for the next few years.
And that made me really curious too, seeing that about how much because obviously, I mean, yeah, that's their big, that's a big one they have coming up. But I'm kind of curious, what kind of overlap there's going to be narratively speaking between Fantastic Four and Thunderbolts. Is are we going to see the other side of that scene? They go through the time portal or universe.
Not in Thunderbolts, but since the Thunderbolts are the Avengers, they'll have to report this up. I mean, obviously, as Avengers, they'll be a part of the.
That's what I mean. It's in Fantastic Four, are we going to see basically the other side of that scene? Here's what you saw right before they see the video feed of that ship come through.
Either that, or it might be next year in Doomsday, because we don't know at what context, because they're coming from another dimension, which means they most likely came through the quantum zone. Because remember, the quantum zone, the time's not going to matter.
Time doesn't function the same way.
So we don't know what movie they're going to end up in. I could guess that it would be Avengers Doomsday.
That would make sense, but I mean, again,
it's the only movie they got coming up that it would really make any sense in.
Yeah, that's where I wonder. Is there going to be any payoff to that, to this?
Well, yeah, you're going to get the Fantastic Four.
Well, no, but I mean, anything anything immediate. We saw that a few months prior when we see Fantastic Four. Here's the other side of that scene. Or they're just going to wait until Doomsday for that?
No, they're going to see them. You're going to see them getting in that ship and ending up where they end up in. And this is my guess. And you're going to see why. And I'm going to, like I said last night, I'm going to hypothesize that Galactus is Franklin Richards, and he's there to eat the world, but not for the reasons that people think. Because if you read Earth X, the Celestials plant cosmic eggs throughout the cosmos to create other Celestials. The problem is the universe cannot sustain that many Celestials, so they end up tearing the universe apart. They don't care because they'll survive it. What Galactus does is he brings balance. He devours these worlds with the cosmic egg in them to prevent the universe being overwhelmed. I think at some point Doctor Doom does something and corrupts that universe. When he's doing those mathematical equations, he's not talking about the coming of Galactus. Somebody's doing something to shrink and collapse the universe, and that's why he's doing these equations. And remember, he turns the camera and says, "We ran out of time." So I think that we're going to see Doom, and he's either going to be native to that universe or he's going to be native to another universe, and where he has done this before. So the universe that we see in July is not going to be Doctor Doom's first foray. He's fucked things up before, and he's trying to refine it. So I think what ends up happening is Franklin Richards is Galactus. He knows that that world is doomed, but because he's a primordial, he's going to be able to know all this. He is going to have to safeguard them. That's why when you see the trailer, when Galactus is looking for somebody, he looks in the window of the Bachelor building. Galactus doesn't need to look for anybody. You see Galactus, you go to him. So he's looking for Reed Richards. He knows that he's about to be born. And he knows that throughout the multiverse and cosmos, that Reed Richards and Franklin Richards are the key. They have to be saved. So I think what's going to happen is something that Doom does collapses that universe, but Galactus absorbs it or sacrifices himself in order to allow them to get to that ship and get into the quantum zone, and their universe is done. So that's what I think is going to happen.
Well, it's interesting also that again they've really kind of kept Doctor Doom pretty hidden in the marketing so far. Like we haven't seen him at all. It's like we've not seen like RDJ at all in any of this marketing yet. There's no way he's not in the movie.
No, I believe he's in that movie. I believe he is the cause. I actually think that Doctor Doom is the main protagonist. They just don't know it until the movie because Reed Richards will see the effects of him tampering, and that's what's. And then when he puts on the helmet and says, they ask him, "Are we safe?" And he says, "I don't know." I don't think that's from Galactus. I think Galactus is a character in the movie, but I don't think he is. I think he's benevolent. He's benevolent as the one that is in Earth X. I think they're taking Earth X. That's why we brought it up a couple weeks ago. I think they're taking the coming of Galactus and they're merging it with Earth X, and that's how you get Fantastic Four first step. All right,
but we'll see that in a couple months here.
Yep. July's going to be fun.
Overall, really enjoyed Thunderbolts. Wish I got seen on Thursday, obviously. The first time I can remember I've seen like either like a superhero movie or even like a summer like kickoff movie where I didn't catch it like the first night that was out. I had to wait till Saturday. So the first time I can remember that happening in my adult life, but it is what it is.
Take the L. I really, like I said, my final say about this movie, I felt that once I saw the trailers, that I was, when I first heard the concept of the movie, I wasn't, I'm like, Thunderbolts, and I looked at my shelf, I'm like, are you fucking kidding me?
They're definitely not an A-list Marvel team.
And then I saw the trailers. Then I realized, okay, who's going to be in this group? And it's like I can't get enough of Wyatt Russell. So in any of these other ones, and Florence Pugh is going to be a great in her generation if she's not already there yet.
By the way, you mentioned also that last night or that the Bucky he's was that shown in because Brave New World didn't leave a big impact on me. What was that established there that he's a congressman? Okay, yeah. I forget whether it's established here in
Congressman James Buchanan. And he's great. He's great in this. Everybody that was in here in this movie was better than the last time you saw them by a mile. I really listen. U.S. Agent Cap, his whole thing, and you see the hero in him. You see that he's not just about himself. When the limo scene.
Wait a minute, no.
At first he was. Okay. They all were.
We're talking about like this when they have to climb up that elevator shaft. So the way they do it, the way they have to do it is he tries to jump up there first, but it's too high. So what they have to do, they all sort of put their backs to each other, and they put their feet up against the walls and they kind of shimmy up the top. And once they get
that
to
was
the,
Bob's idea, by the way.
once they get to the top, they're like, oh shit, like it, like as soon as Wallace tries to go through there, it's like we're all, the rest of us gonna fall. So he's like, okay, I'm doing it, and he gets in there. They all manage to like grab onto
Yeah.
like you shoot a grappling hook or something, and they kind of let him have it at the end.
Well,
So
Yelena saves him, and they all save each other. What ends up, what's so important about that scene? It wasn't the perfect team building scene, but it was one of those things. As the movie goes on, they start having regard for each other and not just survival. They start to feel for Bob because Bob's been screwed. With the scene where the bulletproof limo is not so bulletproof, and he ends up using himself as a shield to shield them. And then when Ghost gets out there and they use that sonic thing on her, he pulls her back in. As the movie goes on, they incrementally start becoming a team, and you start realizing at the core of what these people are, there's a hero in there somewhere. It may be deep, it may be buried, but there is a natural instinct, and they got turned, and they made choices, but they're redeemable. They end up as Avengers. I really love this movie. I think this is one of my most favorite movies. I think it's my favorite. But here's the thing: when it comes to superhero movies, this is super important to me, and I said this in my review. The way I feel when I walk out of a movie like Thunderbolt is the way I want to feel when I walk out of a movie in general, and especially the way. And there's only a couple other times in a cinema environment to where I felt that way. Avengers 2012, Into and Across the Spider-Verse, and this movie. You just felt good about the people you watch because you're rooting for these people. You're rooting for them because they start out as pieces of shit, and then you end up rooting for them because you can relate to them. And I can relate. You can't climb walls or shoot webs, but the solitude, loneliness, and the small group of friends going through kind of things like that Miles Morales has to go through. There's a lot of people that can relate to that. And just with the Avengers, it was just a cool environment that got released in. So that's where I put this movie. I really felt good after I was done. I felt invigorated. I'm not a multiple viewer type of guy, and I'll wait till it comes on Disney Plus to see it again. But at the same time, I really enjoyed this movie. I felt that it was worthy of being, even though it wasn't an A-list filled movie. It's getting you to that area. You're headed. You can feel yourself, that gravitational pull of that. The A-listers is being is being used on you, and like I said, I highly recommend it. I had a lot of fun with it, and that's really at the end of the day. When it comes to Superman, we're not going to be able to have fun watching the movie. So many people are going to dissect it, analyze it, and weaponize it on either end to where you run the risk, if you don't keep your mind, of having the fun sucked out of that movie right out of the vein. Whereas this movie, it was just fun. I didn't have to worry about any of that. So yeah, I highly recommend this movie. Anybody that says, well, use back now, they never went anywhere. But when they put their A-listers on the table, they don't fail. They don't fail. When they put their A-listers near the table, like they did with this movie, they don't fail. So I enjoyed it. What did you guys think of Thunderbolts? Leave a comment in the comment section.
/ New Avengers.
Yeah, and now I am going to. We are done talking Thunderbolts, and I am going to take the banner off. So there we go. So now from this point on, we will not answer any questions that have to do with spoilers. We will not bring them up in the chat, so that anybody who has not seen it, you can now come back. And there we go. Thunderbolts. The scene with Yelena Red Guardian after. Yeah. Like I said, there was just a lot. There was just a lot in this movie that really, like I said, the real people made this movie, and I'm not. Real people make all these movies, but real people that can recognize that what people go through in normal life. Because this movie doesn't resonate unless normal people are going through this stuff. That's the connection a lot of people make, and I think some of the movies that don't have the Flash and the Bang that maybe in an Avengers or a Love and Thunder, those kind of movies where that's a blockbuster laden type of movie. Sometimes a movie just speaks to you in the language that only you and the people making the movie can understand. I guarantee you, I know people. We do it. You and I, we do with suicide prevention all the time. We get emails. You know what that causes when it comes to that. So we understand that people are going through shit on a daily basis. I haven't seen them go through that like this movie does. And like I said, they didn't go overboard with the implications, but they definitely imply that unhappiness, loneliness, and then what happens? What's the best tool against loneliness? Camaraderie, a team. So, like I said, on that level, I think it's one of Marvel's better movies in this entire run that they've done. All right, so I think we covered all the thumbnails because the 3 comic day was like 90% of it, and then all right, so now we're just going to answer questions from the chat. Like I said, we're not going to bring up anything that has to do with a spoiler from the movie, because for those of you who sped past that point, I promised to once the score was done, then we would be spoiler free. All right, I'll grab one. Let's see. I got another book from Anthony. With Marvel moving away from the Multiverse saga, not yet. After Secret Wars, how does a team like the Thunderbolts fit into the next phase of MCU? Easy. They're one of the elements that will exist. They're one of the elements that won't get pruned, that will exist, that will coexist with the elements that get merged. So that's easy. One of these days, I'm going to see if I can try to. Not that anybody's dumb and can't get what I'm saying, but I understand what I'm saying. Unless you're a absolute tunnel nerd like I am, and you've seen all this happen, you may not understand what I'm trying to say, and it is complicated. So I need to find a way to articulate it for you with like I said. All right. So let's do it this way. We're gonna do it with the zip ties. All right, we're gonna do it with zip ties.
You know what you really should be doing? What you should be doing with spaghetti.
Nah, because I thought about that. That doesn't work for this. That doesn't work for this because there's divergence in his explanation. There is no divergence here. So what we're doing with the Marvel is the exact opposite of what he's doing. He's talking chaos. We're not talking chaos. All right. So this is going to be so silly, but I until I find another way to really do it for you. All right. So everything that we've seen is these zip ties, right? Everything we've seen is, so we got the Fox universe, we got the Sony universe, we got any other Paramount, we got any other universe that you've ever seen these characters in. So let's talk about the one that we don't have X-Men, we don't have mutant kind, we have people that have the power, but we don't call Scarlet Witch and mutant, Quicksilver. So we're gonna start with this one where we don't have any of that, right? And now we have the Fox X-Men. Fox, obviously, there's mutants there. So, and we have the variants that you've seen in Loki, where there's not just the ones that we've seen, but we know that there's existence all throughout the multiverse. But we've only seen, we've only experienced in the MCU from this point of view. So what's happening now that, when Kang did what he did and everything else, and now that you have all this splinter thing. So what's going to end up happening, and this was what happened in Secret Wars, is that all this one strand that didn't have mutants, that didn't have all this other stuff in it, is here. It's going to, by necessity, collide and be here. They're going to collide, and all these other things are going to collide, and they're going to make one sacred timeline. So now, whereas there wasn't mutants here, since they were here, their timelines basically merged to the point where the beginning of all of this, which is important, now proceeds from the bottom all the way throughout time with everything that was in all of these. So whereas there weren't mutants here, and anything else you want to apply, mutants, anything you want to apply, they weren't here. Since they weren't here, and this became one sacred timeline, it aligns itself to the point where there are always mutants here. There are always Celestials here. There was always vampires here. There was always that. So that's basically what they did in 2015. It's just a convergence theory. It's like if I break up something, if I if I have a vase, say I have a vase, it's probably a better thing. I don't want to break a vase here, but I have a vase or a plate, and I got 2 of them, and I drop them both in the same place, and the pieces I can put back together to make something usable are there. The other parts that got completely destroyed, they're not usable, but I've taken these 2 plates, and now that plate is one thing that's always had that shape and size to it. I'd probably get like Neil deGrasse Tyson or something, somebody on there, but that's what it is. Let me go ahead and take Thunderbolts off.
No, you need less douchey scientists to explain that.
Well, somebody, but like I said, it's like straight line made of glass, and that can be cut up. All the straight lines are made of glass, and you break them up and you segment them. All right, and as they line up, this piece that always had mutants and everything else lines it up, and it's the beginning of it. They're all going to come together and align themselves to the point where you will always, when Secret Wars is done, the things that they want to keep, whether it be the Thunderbolts or anybody else, the Fantastic Four, or in Spider-Man, Tom Holland Spider-Man, those are going to be the things that they keep. And you may have a situation where the Avengers are marginalized. They'll be there, but the Fantastic Four could probably end up being the primary thing. Because remember, the Fantastic Four came first family of comics. So you could have a situation where the MCU now revolves around, like I said, Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four. Just the Rogues Gallery and those 3 alone, it makes up for like almost 3/4 of all MCU villains and Rogues Galleries and divergent characters. So that's what they're going to do. They're basically, if you watch Loki, they're basically pruning. It's going to be a pruning, but on a catastrophic level. So yeah, that's how they're going to get these. That's how they're going to get these things that we didn't have before, and now how they're going to carry on. It's how they're all going to make it sense. And now they're going to do a better job of explaining it. They need to do better than Endgame though, because that fucking Back to the Future lame ass. You can't listen. If they're going to do this, and they are going to do this.
When you travel into the past, your present becomes your past, and it's your future.
No, that can't happen. So
that
when
was I really like Endgame, but that was like just pulled right out of their ass. Like,
and then they referenced the worst theoretical time travel movie of all time, entertaining as it may be. I'm sorry, Doc Brown is dead. The only thing that Doc Brown is doing and driving that car, a DeLorean at 88 miles an hour, is an explosion in an accident. That's it. There's no flaming tires. There's none of that stuff in there. That was complete bullshit.
No, that's we've heard some.
That's the 80s though. That's the 80s.
Well, I mean, let's see time travel. I mean, obviously, it's like you can throw together like sci-fi, gobbledygook you want to do about it. But I mean, that was. And again, I like Endgame overall. Don't get me wrong, but I mean that explanation that Smargold gives, that's the kind of thing that you write down when you don't know the answer on a test.
Yeah, and even the ancient ones like that's not how this happens.
Exactly.
And then Bruce is like, "But no, let me explain it to you." I'm like, "No, that's not even your field, Bruce. She's metaphysical. She's telling you that this is bullshit. That you're going to screw up everything." And then
and he's like, "Okay, we'll put it all back. Like once we take it, we'll put it all back."
Which you cannot do. Which is like what? And she even explained it. I'm like, they're literally taking apart their theory because nobody cared about that. They cared about that end scene. When you think of Endgame, I think of On Your Left. That's what I think about.
You let all kinds of shit slide when you talk about like explaining time travel. Come on.
But I think the problem with Endgame is they tried to over-explain it, and the more that they try to explain it, they just should have went Doc Brown with it.
Yeah.
Just tell me, just trust me. That's what you did. Just tell me. Don't try to explain the unexplainable, and then laugh at your own.
The Flash definitely has a much better. That was one of the better time travel explanations I've seen in movies in recent years. But yeah, that was again, that's the kind of thing you write down when you're stumped on a test. So it's like I got to write something. So okay, I'll just if you travel from your present to the past, now your present is the future. So and now
his was way that I had to think about that, and I wasn't really going to that movie to be thinking that hard. When he's talking about what he did, is he says there's certain fixed access points that you don't undo. You just, because you've done something, your existence here is causality. It's everything that was supposed to happen. It is not just the things that are tied to you. There's a whole bunch of other elements that become chaotic from this point on, and all you're really doing is creating points of chaos.
Yeah.
So every time you tried to travel back, the only way you could solve that is to go back before the breach of the chaos, and that's what he tries to do, and he still fucks it up. But yeah.
Yep.
All right, next up, let's just
All
talk to the
right,
chat.
Bell Rev, how's it going?
Hello, Bell.
Bell
Oh,
Rev,
she's got the
goes,
Wonder Woman. I'm like, well,
Wonder
she changed her avatar.
Wonder Woman now, shrinking to the past is full plotter. Oh, you're talking about when they go into the quantum realm?
Oh yeah, that was
Listen, and I like this movie a lot, but have you guys ever seen Time Cop? That movie that is some of the most time travel bullshit I've ever heard in my life.
That was such an. I paid to see that movie in theaters. That was such
Yeah,
a,
I was too young to see it the theaters at the time. I saw it when I was in high school, and yeah, the whole I love it when they're discussing when they're forming like the government like task force on policing time travel, and the one guy says you can't travel into the future because it hasn't happened yet. Okay, so if I travel in the past and I'm traveling back to my present, that's by default going into the future.
If they wanted to ever use her rational, thank you for the $2 super chat. Due to the nature of their powers, and if they actually used her correctly, you could actually use her correctly because of her powers.
Movie sure didn't use her correctly.
Yeah, she can see all these things. She could actually be somebody who helps out in that situation. In fact, if I'm Loki, if I had written this Loki, because Loki's gonna see what's gonna end up happening is Doctor Doom is screwing with things, and Loki can see that because Loki has Loki has all of reality in his hands. So everything that Doctor Doom is doing, he can see it, and he can also see its ultimate end. Because remember, he's at the end of time, so he knows everything that's going to happen. So if he knows that all of reality is threatening, he can reach in. He's going to have to use his avatar or something to recruit a team throughout the multiverse from all different levels to stop Doom. And then Doom is going to do the same thing. He has what Doctor Doom probably has at this point. When you see him, he probably has access to something that has allowed him to screw things up. And what's going to happen is he's going to get defeated in Fantastic Four. But while they escape into the quantum zone, he's going to escape to somewhere where he realized what Loki is. He may not be able to confront him or stop him there, but he knows he can build a team with all these, in the TVA and all that. So it's going to be basically Team Loki. I have no inside information. This is what I'm guessing. It's going to be Team Loki against Team Doom. That's your secret war. Thank you for the $2.
William and Brad, did you see? I don't think you finished your comment there, man. Okay, here it is. You see the recent Marvel article from Wall Street Journal? I have not. No, you meant I got the alert.
I saw it. I didn't want to go into great detail because it wasn't, in my opinion. It was basically it was about Marvel in general, about their schedule of doing. They want to lessen what's on their plate. They don't want to do too much because there was just too much going on, and that's what they figured. They had mediocrity, but that's old news because, to be honest with you, when Bob Chapek was put in charge of Disney, that was a mandate that was given to him because volume meant money for these guys, and they looked at Disney Plus as a cash cow. Once Chapek was forced out, they reevaluated that a couple of years back, and that's why you see less and less. You're going to see less and less. That article basically goes over a couple of different things. Kevin Feige was stressed in and all that, but that's things that we already really kind of knew. So I really didn't, I didn't think about it. But yeah, I did see it. I did see it.
Yeah, I think I might have seen like little, where they take like this was said in the article, and they make like another article out of it, one snippet out of it. I saw some of that, but I don't think I saw the whole article.
Paul. I thought I saw Thunderbolts. I thought it was okay. I'm looking forward to FF. Also saw Havoc on Netflix and liked it more. I haven't seen Havoc. Don't plan on it. But I'm glad you enjoyed it.
Oh, you missed a great action.
I'm glad you.
From the director of The Raid.
I'm not here for just action movies. I'm here for superheroes and people with aliens and stuff. Anyway,
superhero.
Okay, cool. Glad you enjoyed Havoc. Like I said, don't have any plans on seeing it, but I'll take it from Brad that it's a great movie. Let's see.
He's also got one in that article. They say the Marvel is going to focus on Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, X-Men, Doctor Strange, Black Panther, and Avengers after the multiverse saga.
which is what they were going to do before, but certain things happened, like Chadwick Boseman dying, hurt them. And that remember, I've already said I don't think it's going to be as much Doctor Strange as it is. I think it's going to be narrowed down to Fantastic Four, Spider-Man, and X-Men. And those will be your main. And yeah, you'll have some Black Panther in there. You'll have some Doctor Strange in there. I think Doctor Strange is going to play a huge part because nobody knows where the hell he's been since he jumped in that portal with Clea. And so I think he's a major part of all this. But I think I'm just guessing that the major focus when it comes to the MCU after Secret Wars is going to be those three. And there's enough there. There's enough there to go. I've been saying this forever that there's enough there. Paul, $5. Thank you for the support. Thank you for all you guys who support us on that level. What is more popular, Luke Cage or Black Panther? I don't even need to finish it, but I will. Do you think Luke Cage can carry his own movie? No. In no way, shape, or form can Luke Cage carry anything like that.
He can carry his own show.
That's on a show on Netflix. Okay, so no. The answer is no. In my opinion, no. Black Panther is a cultural icon. Black Panther. The only way you know Luke Cage is if you were collecting comics or watching Netflix. You don't have to ever have picked up a comic book to know who the Black Panther was. The Black Panther actually precedes the group, the Black Panther.
Yeah, which is why they had to change his name for a little while to Black Leopard
which was absolutely absurd, and it looked as absurd. I'm not even going to bring it up, but it looked as absurd as you think it does.
But it was because it created the impression that he was like named after Black Panthers. Like, no,
and that was sad. But yeah, he's right. So Black Panther is a cultural icon. Luke Cage is a comic book character. And he's a supporting comic book character at that. Yeah, he got elevated in the mid 70s and 80s, but Black Panther is a character that he's a title character. You use Luke Cage as a support character. Luke Cage barely carries his own comic. So whereas Black Panther has shit. Black Panther's got comics in two different universes right now, literally running aside to that's not a knock on Luke Cage. If you use him and write him right, you like all these characters, you can get a lot out of Luke Cage. But it's nowhere near the popularity of a Black Panther. That's like a cultural icon. That's why it was so important when he was one of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby's first handful of creations in the first 4 to 5 years of Marvel. That's why him getting a movie was so important, because it wasn't some Black Panther, as far as the creations and the evolution of Marvel in the early to mid 60s, was not a B-lister. So and the thing I love about the MCU is they treated him like what Stan Lee and Jack Kirby meant for him to be. He's a top tier character. So you do a Luke Cage movie, I don't. First of all, you're probably going to get fired.
I think at one point actually they did. There was talk about, before the Netflix show, there was talk about doing one with Tyrese Gibson.
So, there's a reason probably why it didn't happen, because once you start talking about something like that,
well, also he's like let's kind of call a spade. He's kind of like. Outside of Fast and Furious, he's like not shown.
Well, it wouldn't really matter who you picked as an actor, though. It's the project doesn't warrant that. The character doesn't warrant that. So to answer this, Paul's question, the Black Panther on its face warrants that. You got to struggle and stretch and come up with some rationale to take a character like Luke Cage and to make him that level. I like I said, just specifically answering his question, do you think Luke Cage can carry his own movie? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's not to disparage the character, though, but you gotta you get some fans who see things and they think that because they like the character that it can be something more than it is. It's not. I don't think a discussion about a Luke Cage movie would go any further than a bunch of names being thrown around. I would never see that as something that they would that would go into production, because you'd have to do a bunch of analytics about, okay, where's our draw here? Black Panther was a draw. Even when they were rumoring Black Panther for Civil War, that there's the buzz around that. You knew immediately that Black Panther was going to get his own movie, even before they announced it. Once you introduce Black Panther into that atmosphere, then you were getting a Black Panther movie. I can't see that for Luke Cage. I just can't. And I know you guys think I don't because I hate the Defenders or whatever. No, that's just because that character is just not anywhere near that level that you would invest that kind of make that kind of investment on. Just my opinion, though. Brad, well, it was a super chat to both of us. So I think I know your answer to this, but go ahead.
Well, no, I think I have Black Panther as far as like which character. It's also when you ask the question, it's like I'm kind of also wondering, are you asking like before or after they both got their their movie and their show? Because like in a vacuum, it's like I think probably is the I would still say Black Panther. It's like prior to that he would be the more known of the two of them. Like and like even me, it's like I came to know Luke Cage through his connection with Iron Fist. So yeah, it's probably really fair to say even before they were the subject of the movies and streaming shows. Yeah, Black Panther. He had the iconography. He definitely been way elevated since then, but he definitely had more mainstream recognition.
Thank you for the super chat, Paul. CHD. I'm sorry. CJ. I get the letters mixed up. So what universe will still exist after the Secret Wars, and which will be completely destroyed, which will just be like the Void? No. What's going to happen is you're going to have a composite universe that has basically whatever they want in it. So you want mutants without having to explain where mutants have been for 100 years or whatever. All right, you take the universe that has the mutants in it, right? That have always had the mutants, and it lines up here. It lines up here with the universe that did. And as this collapse happens, they become one. It's kind of like when you shake something into one. That's basically what that is. So it's not going to be the 616. This universe that exists, this will be a version of the 616 that is totally new because it will have. But this is a theory, just a theory based on what they're doing, what they did with Secret Wars originally. So this Earth 616, which basically became kind of known after that Secret Wars in the comics, will be something new and different. It will be something new and different. And also, I think that's for mutant kind, because I've been saying this for years. I think Apocalypse will be the first mutant enemy that you see, because I think that this is where I think that you will see Nathaniel Richards, you'll see a Kang type character, because that character is going to go back in time and find Apocalypse. Now, in the current MCU, you have the Celestials that don't have any mutants. Basically, we're a dead-end species. They're going to come back and judge us and basically say, you guys are dead-end, you guys are talking apes, nothing. But once the universe converges and mankind has always had mutant kind, that they're going to look at their experiment a lot different. So the Celestials will have a much larger purpose because what they experimented with mankind, the deviant gene, everything like that, that now becomes relevant if there's mutants all the way through that timeline. And by the way, Franklin Richards is a mutant. He's the most powerful mutant. So a lot of this lines up in my theory. Sony Spider-Verse will continue even if they were to merge the universes, because Sony's going to control the narrative no matter what. They make movies that are adjacent to the current universe. So even if this universe were to merge, and I think it will merge with them in it, they can still tell stories from their corner of the universe without having, they're still going to have the controls. So Sony all Spider-Man movies are Sony movies. So I thought I heard a speaker. They'll definitely still exist. I don't think Sony's going to have any problem whatsoever with that. And that kind of strengthens their hands, because I think Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to be one of the pillars that they build this new MCU on. So that strengthens their hand with Sony and the deal making that they have. I don't know about Miles Morales, but as long as Lord and Miller, who have cultivated Miles Morales on the cinematic screen, are there, then I trust it. But like I said, I don't want to see Iron Boy again. But yeah, I think the Sony Spider-Verses will continue regardless to whether they are merged with the new MCU or the new 616 or not. They'll just be told exactly like they are now from their different point of view. Ooh, William and Brad, okay, yeah, we talked about that. CJ, also, does Sony know the updated plan, or will they? Nah, they're probably on board, because they have to be on board. Spider-Man is their character cinematically. So Marvel can't do anything without consulting. So Sony probably already knows how this is going to go, or to the extent to where it involves their character. Well, yeah, like I said, you can argue that with the Ghost of Stanley. I think they might keep some of the actors from Deadpool movies, like Josh Brolin. I don't think so. I think you'll see those characters, but I think they get wasted. I don't ever get the sense. Even I heard there's a rumor that Ryan Reynolds wants to do another Deadpool movie. I keep hearing this, but I look at what's going on. I don't see where it fits. You would have to do it before Secret Wars consolidates the existence of those characters. After that, it won't make any sense. You could literally have an existence where Deadpool doesn't exist post Secret Wars, and all his characters can be pruned out of existence. So if you're going to consolidate and create one sacred timeline after Secret Wars, I don't see where Deadpool would necessarily fit into that. I'm not 100% certain that he's not, but I just always got the feeling that the appeal to Deadpool and Ryan Reynolds was that it was solitary because he kept it away from everything. I think once you enter the MCU completely, and not just in Deadpool and Wolverine, your characters start having to play by the rules of the MCU, and that's something he never had to be bothered with. I don't know. I never heard him say yay or nay, but I don't know if that's what he wants, and I don't know if that's what he wants to be doing for the rest of his career is Deadpool movies. But who knows? I'd love to hear from him. CJH, because I imagine MCU stopped giving Sony the plan. No. If they're going to use Spider-Man, and Spider-Man is going to be part of Doomsday and Secret Wars, which I'm assuming that to some degree he will, Sony has to be informed. It's their character. How you doing, Ray? Yeah, none of them get. Yeah, please. Time travel doesn't make sense anyways. So, well, time travel theory does make sense when you're talking about what they introduced in that movie, which is the linear time concept. Which basically what they're saying is that time is one line, and that you can go back. But here's where they fuck up. It's like the Terminator. The Terminator is always sending. They sent people back to where they thought that they could kill John Connor. That's a linear time concept because the theory is that if you kill John Connor, that this future doesn't exist anymore, or it exists in a way that is without John Connor. Now you have people that say, well, every time you go back in time, you create an alternate universe, so that time never happens anyway. That's not the theory that these movies are going for. The theory that the movie is going for is that the cause and effect. The cause of killing somebody in this timeline and their non-existence throughout here is going to be what benefits them. So Skynet doesn't have to fight John Connor, then they've eliminated the only enemy that cost them the war. They're not using a theory of, well, this point diversions off of this and this version of that. Doesn't matter. In any event, even if they were using that theory in Endgame, it doesn't work because you're coming from this point of time to save this. This is your goal, is to safeguard and protect this point. That's why you're doing all this. So if everything alternates after that, then it doesn't matter what you do because you've eliminated that time. They returned back to this time through means of absolute bullshit. They came from all these points in time here, and they got back here, which means the linear time concept is the one that they stayed with. The problem is they did a lot of dumb shit in between A and B. Like, what's Thor using for 7 years without his hammer? Thor snatched the hammer from the contemporary Thor. So everything that Thor fought all the way through there, there should be dragons and stuff that never got killed or whatever. All right, everything that you take, and this is where the ancient one was 100% correct, which is hilarious. They didn't give a fuck. They said, you know what, we're fucked up. We're gonna let you know. We don't care.
You don't. We know more about space time than this supernatural being who deals space.
Yeah,
time.
but they just made fun of themselves because they knew the movie was gonna make $2 billion. So anything that you take, anything that those gems, those soul gems or whatever anything that they were protecting, anything that they were involved in, doesn't happen. So when you return to that future, regardless of whether you're going to give them back or not, doesn't matter. They're not there now. So everything from the point that you took from them doesn't happen. So that world that you return to shouldn't exist. So yeah, it's the theory though. Yeah, time travel is most likely bullshit, but it's theory. It's based on theoretical things. You can actually do equations. Not me because I suck at math, but there are people who have much larger brains than me that have talked about time travel theory. And it's the theory. Like I said, if they hadn't introduced it in game, if they had gone just full on Doc Brown from beginning to end, wouldn't care. They made the rules that their movie. That's their movie, right? But they didn't. They introduced rules into the movie and then just basically laughed at him. It's like what?
It would have been so Bruce Banner. I mean, they could have actually kind of spoofed that a little bit more directly if they had Smart Hulk in front of a chalkboard saying, "Okay, here's a line of time, and but you go back and change this, then you create a branch timeline." It would have like funny to see, you let him go full Doc Brown.
Okay. William, do you think Daredevil could carry his own movie? Yeah. Yeah, I think it could. Daredevil's a title character. Daredevil's one of the early characters.
He could, but I also think he functions better as far as like a lead character. I think he lends himself better to an episodic format.
That I 100% agree. I 100% agree. I think some of these characters in general, most of them, because you have more time. Daredevil's a complex character. It's not just a one type of thing. It's an atmosphere, and it's an atmosphere that's built over the intensity that you see in Born Again and you see the original. It's built up over time. Certain movies can do it cinematically, but I think Daredevil is one of those characters that where I think he could carry a movie. I don't think it will be like a super duper blockbuster, but I think it would make enough. But I think he's better suited on the episodic. I do agree there. Let's see some red line in the DCU. Who knows? James Gunn. I can see it. James Gunn gave you Polka Dot Man. He could give you anything. But who is more popular, Static Shock or Black Panther? This one's easy. It's Black Panther, guys. Black Panther is on that level. Black Panther is on that level. Anything that was created from 1961 to 1966, those are like those are the cornerstones you put into when you were building the building. So yeah, I mean, Static Shock is an excellent character, and I love the Miles, all the stuff they were trying to do, but it's not Black Panther. It's not Black Panther. Luke Cage was influential enough to have Nick Cage. Oh, jeez. Wow, rail with jokes. Listen, you got Chuck Cage in here with his jokes, and I'm ready for those. That was from the Chuck Cage fanny pack. You pulled that one out of there.
Well, I mean, he's not wrong. That was why he chose the stage, and it was a reference. And Nick Cage is like you talk about he was like comic book geek, like bona fides. Yeah, because his real name is Nicholas Coppola.
He's Coppola, yeah. He's
part of the Coppola nephew. And his stage name is Nick Cage. His son's name is Kal-El. So he's you can't argue comic books.
Yeah, but yeah, it's just it's that character. He's just not that kind of character. Luke Cage's Marvel answer to Black Plantation and cinema. Yeah, he sort of was. The sideburns, the afro, the way he dressed with the gold chain and the shirt buttoned down to his navel. That's he was perfect for that. That's exactly what he was. Let's see. I think so. I think Namor could. I think Namor would need a good support network and a good story, but I think Namor could. You'll never see it because Marvel's not going to pay that money just to have Universal distribute the movie because nobody makes any cash that way. But I think Namor could. I think it's sad that the first time we see him on a big screen, it's without the character that he was supposed to be on the screen with, and I think that hurt his character.
I think so too.
I would not put it past him. I think you're going to see all these characters. Anybody who's willing to come back and play a role, even if it's just for a minute, is going to be back in this movie.
I just saw a headline today with Elizabeth Olsen saying she's currently denying she's in Secret Wars.
She's in it.
Yeah, I think
she's definitely. There's no way she's not in that.
Everybody is going to be like Andrew Garfield in this. Like, I swear I'm not in this movie.
Well, you could do. He's in there for nostalgia, but it ended up making the story
he's
work.
Probably going to be in it too, and he's going to say, "No, I swear, this time I'm really not." And of course,
she has to be it because of the dynamics of the story. Because of the dynamics of the story and the nature of her power, she has to be in it. Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire do not have to be in this. They are going to probably, I don't think it's going to be to any major degree, but Scarlet Witch is definitely her. Doctor Strange. There's certain characters in here that, in order for them to do what they're going to do, in my opinion, they have to be there. The other ones, you're going to be there just basically. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I remember them when I was a kid. They're dead. Bam.
Yeah,
Gone.
but that is going to be funny. Like, how listen, everybody just deny up and down they're in it, and then he goes like, "Yeah, we know, guys. Come on."
Yeah, I want a rated R Spawn movie. You got to do it if you're going to do a Spawn movie. I don't think you can do it and I think, you know what? There's been a lot of things that make it acceptable for a R-rated Spawn movie to be done. I just hope Blumhouse gets around.
What are you talking about? We got that R-rated director Scott of the '97 movie.
That movie may as well not exist. It really may not. It was good for what it was, and the character had only been 5 years old. That was unprecedented for a character.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
kind of turnaround from like comic
but
movie debut. Yeah.
So what they did was amazing, but at the same time, that movie may as well not exist when you're talking about modern storytelling. Hell, even Todd McFarlane has changed the way he tells stories in the 30 some odd years since Spawn came on. Plus, you're doing it by, like I said, you don't want to refer to 90s standards when you're making a 2025 movie. It'll be consolidated. Like I said, it'll be one Spider-Man, and that composite Spider-Man will be Tom Holland. William, will the leader look like the leader? I don't know. I'm so disappointed in that lady. What they eventually did. Let's see. Hold on. I got to make sure that people are asking me what free comments I got left. I just posted a picture, man. Hold on, just gotta do a text here. Let's see. Yes. Here till midnight. Bam. All right, cool. All right, so where we at? Mutants are hiding in a public light name. No, they're not hiding, and there's some mutants can't hide. So the only sensible way to explain their existence is that they don't exist on that level yet. Once you merge all the other universes where mutants have always been there to a universe where they're not, then you have one universe where they will have all existed. Is there anybody in the chat? Am I not explaining this right? I just want to make sure I am. Because when I'm reading it out to myself, I realize how complicated it sounds. So if you guys understand what I'm saying, basically, it's like this. It's like, okay, we got all these little strands, right? And they're going to come together and make one class. Certain things are going to get forced out of the universe because, like, when the plate breaks, you can't repair every piece, but you can put the big pieces back together, and now you have something positive.
I'm going to give a little more of a maybe a little more of a crude explanation. It's like when you put something into a blender or you make a smoothie. That's kind of like my really shorthand sort of answer for it.
That's it. Everything is in there, but there's certain things that are going to get chopped up that are not going to be part of the smoothie, and that's where you get to where the things are destroyed, because that's what's going to happen. There's going to be parts of these universes that are going to be destroyed, and they're going to be forced to consolidate. It's like they're going to connect to each other in ways that they have to in order for the universe to decide. Okay, I don't recall this, Paul, but here's what I am going to say: something crashing on Netflix in the 2010s. And something being able to carry a movie, it's not the same. Netflix, listen.
Remember our popular thing, that crash service too. We always cite that.
Not the same, because you're talking about something that was being done by a major studio, that built that kind of culture, and with characters like Superman and Batman and Wonder Woman. Every one of them I just mentioned is an A-lister, so you can't compare Zack Snyder's Justice League to Netflix at that particular point in time and that character. It's just not the same as something being able to carry a movie. And then we ran into a lot of this, and when Daredevil Born Again came up, the reality of how many people hadn't seen Daredevil, hadn't seen any of those shows. The absolute true reality. As much as we watch and love those shows and have fun with those shows, I was running into people that knew of the show but didn't watch it. So for something to carry a franchise movie, you can't have that as being the reality. You can't have a segment spike here and say, well, let's just carry this over here. The Black Panther is not something. See, the Black Panther is so on a stature that you would have never put it on a streaming show. You would have always done cinematic when it goes to Black Panther. That's the difference between a Black Panther and if a producer or a studio had the chance to put one on a movie, it's gonna be Black Panther. Luke Cage ended up where Luke Cage's stature as a character belongs, as a support character on someone else's show, and then their own, and then he's a support character in his own show. It's not the Luke Cage show, but it's So, like I said, not to knock Luke Cage, but you're wanting people to spend real millions, and you're giving them a choice between Black Panther and Luke Cage. I would have you arrested before I let you invest my money into Luke Cage. I'll have you removed for cognitive reasons. You just can't do it. William, final Spider-Man. But yeah. I think because like I said, he gets to build up from being Peter Parker. He's not coming in as a Mr. Stark. Mr. Stark. What do I do now, Mr. Stark? Remember that Star Wars movie? Oh my God. Let's see. I also think that I think the MCU Norman Osborn should be his first enemy in Spider-Man 4, just based on the fact that it's such a great story to be told. The fact that he knows the destiny of this man, and he's gonna try to stop destiny. He's gonna realize he can't, and Norman Osborn in this world is going to do a lot of damage. Well, Plastic Man is from the 40s, but doesn't matter. First family of comics is Fantastic Four. Listen, Brax, I didn't make these rules. Do a seance and get with Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. I don't know. I don't know if there's a need for it to be rebooted.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it had a good run. It's 7 seasons.
I can't believe that show got 7 seasons.
Do you understand the words that are coming out of William's mouth?
It's a legit question because I don't want. We're here to entertain you, not confuse you. All right. Remember in Endgame, Hulk screwed up the machine and changed Ant-Man's age. I think they will use that to. Well, yeah. Yeah, they could do that, or they could just go back. And when the timeline consolidates, that never happened. See, Endgame, the way Endgame went down, they can decide that what, you've all seen the Infinity Gauntlet, but it doesn't need to exist going forward. As far as they're concerned, that never happened, or some element of it never happened. That's why they're doing this, because in the time since 2008 has happened, they've done things and acquired things that they did not have at their disposal, and now they want to use those things, and they have to make it make sense. And they can clean up a lot along the way, including Steve Rogers, as they do so. Yeah, I love Charlie Cox as Daredevil.
Yeah, I do too.
Yeah, wow, damn. That's kind of wow. That escalated. Daredevil can't carry my jockstrap. Only Bane can carry the movie. Yeah. He's 0 for 2, Bane. Let's see. I try to stay away from those. I haven't.
We had the official list, but there's a rumored list too.
Yeah, I'm not going to believe any of it, one way or another. I'm not going to believe anything that says no or yay. And leak list, because like I said, this movie is going to be so bonkers. I think there's a lot of people that are going to be in it that have not committed yet or have been told not to say anything. The introduction of Franklin Richards would lead to the introduction of Amanda. Maybe she's already there. And remember, and he's probably some version of Franklin Richards might be what helps reset this universe, because he has that within his power. So he doesn't know. Harkness exists in a universe that's not his, but when the universe gets consolidated, that she could have been part of his life all the time. I definitely think we're not done with the Void. I definitely think we're not done with Sentry. Is that character, that power, is definitely going to be involved in this, and he's probably going to be Loki and what's his face are probably going to fight over him to see, because whoever they're going to fight, Doom will try to access the Void personality, whereas Loki will try to access the Sentry part. So that's going to be fun. I don't think that Franklin Richards is Dr. Doom in this. I think he's Galactus, but that's just an opinion. The same way. How can you explain the existence of werewolves and vampires because it's unlike mutants where they have it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I can easily explain mutants to people by merging a timeline that has them in it, which is probably what's going to happen.
You know, they don't even. Speaking of vampires, they don't even really explain vampire backstory and sinners. They just kind of say, okay, here they are.
They're there. There's a lot of lore. There's a lot of direction you can take with vampires, even without corrupting the timeline.
Well, the thing is also, I mean, vampires. I mean, they're kind of they're the kind of monsters where it's like, they're universally known, so people even you could play around with different variations on them, but people know enough about vampires collectively where it's like, yeah, here's what a vampire is.
Even if it's just the stereotypical ones that don't necessarily fit anybody's narrative, like Bram Stoker created shit. Bram Stoker's Dracula can walk around in the daytime. Vampires in general, there's only it's whoever's writing the vampire that basically dictates the way the vampire is going to be. There's a lot of stories where vampires are walking around in the daytime. In the comic books, Dracula can walk around in the daytime. He just doesn't have supernatural powers when he does so. We
got vampires in recent years that sparkle. I mean, they weren't good vampires, but they're there.
What should Sony do with their Marvel Universe post-sequel war? Continue. Why wouldn't they? In fact, they're going to cash in. They're definitely going to continue to do it. And Marvel's never getting that. Marvel's never getting Spider-Man back or Disney, and they're never going to want it back. Right now, the status quo is probably going to stay the same for years because Sony's never going to give up that character, and Marvel's never going to pay the outrageous price that Sony would ask. And it doesn't matter because with the deal that they have now, everybody gets what they need out of it. So. Who got released today? I know we had Dakota Kai, Braun Strowman, and a lot of. I heard somebody told me this is while I was going on the air. Someone was telling me that that 4 more people got released, but I was so immersed in what I was. Free Comic Book Day, guys. That's what I was focused on, so I did not get a chance to. Let's see, Wrestling Reporter, Fightful. Let's see. So Jakar Jackson got released. Who got released? Okay, I don't see who else got released today. Yeah, all I know is Caden Carter, Kachan Chance, Dakota Kai, Shayna Baszler, and Braun Strowman. Braun Strowman is going to get. All those people are going to get jobs. So, Aaron, let me know if you heard of anybody else because I don't see him. Who knows? I can't make any. I don't know any determinations I can really guess on until after Secret Wars, because who knows how their deal will be structured like that. I mean, are they going to create a splinter universe? Will Sony be? Will to answer your question earlier? I'm just guessing, but Sony could say, you know what, you can consolidate any of these universes, but you can't consolidate ours. I mean, you can have Tom Holland for as many movies as you need, but by this consolidation, we have now created our own. Our universes have consolidated. What Sony should do and what they could do is they could take all the mess that they've made and they can prune the shit out of that and make something nice and cohesive. For Sony, if you're watching, that idea is free. It's on me. All right, let's see, because of tariffs, music band. Yeah, well, Shotzi's not being released. Her contract is up, and that does happen. And listen, a lot of this, if this was pre-AEW, I would be like, oh, that sucks. But we got AEW. We got places for these people to go. Braun Strowman, he got released before, and nobody picked him up, and he ended up re-signing with the WWE. AEW needs to pick him up and put him with Buddy Matthews and Julia on AEW. I've not heard this, Anthony, so I can't comment on it. Apparently, the next Doctor Strange movie is going to be using the Time Runs Out storyline. Maybe, but he's definitely going to be part of it. So, all right. I've read out of shit. Guys, I'm exhausted, and I'm starving because I tried my stomach. I upset my stomach because usually when I eat really late. So as it is, I get home from whatever I'm doing. I'll do my work on the internet. I'll listen to some music. I'll watch some shows. I'll do my wrestling stuff, and then I eat, and then I go to bed. So my eating pattern was messed up because I went to bed super early so that I could be up and ready. And so my stomach was upset. Hadn't felt good. I haven't eaten all day, and I was here, and it was not just being here early. It was I had people immediately. As soon as I got in, people were wandering around. I could see them using the thing to locate me, and then I had some people at the door, and I had everything to the point where all I had to do is unveil everything and move everything out and let people know the rules, one of each. And from that point on, it was steady. It was steady, and then the people who came in, they would get their free comics, and then they would do exactly what you want them to do. They'd roll into the store, um, and start grabbing stuff there. So I've been busy all day, and I still got one more. I still got one more customer that's supposed to be here before midnight. But is there anything else that we need to talk about, Brad? Is there anything else that you guys have? Braun Strowman could fit AEW. He could fit. Yeah, he can. He could easily fit you. And when your job as a booker and somebody who runs your company, it's your job to make him fit. Braun Strowman can fit anywhere. All right, guys. That is it for tonight. Sorry for the short show, but like I said, this was a day that was my energy emotionally and spiritually has been consumed by giving people free comics. Giving people free comics and hopefully getting some people back into comics. A lot of the people I met today, this was their time. This was our opportunity. This is the time, the chance that they said this is the day we're going to use to get back in. So I hope not just for myself that every mom and pop store and even the large ones got to do the same thing as I got to do today. Today's a special day because whenever you're a retailer, you only have so many instances where you can make your case to a customer. And having something built in like a free comic, and other stuff that we give is, they come through your door, you get to make your case. Retailers, small and big, spend thousands of dollars throughout the year. Some of the bigger ones even spend more than that if you're a corporation, just to get someone through the door. Not to guarantee that they're going to buy anything, just to get them to the spot where you have a shot at them. So today was one of those things where it was built into the day. I got pictures. Let me bring up some of the pictures. I didn't take as many pictures that I usually do because I wasn't stationary as much as I usually I'm stationary and sometimes I have help. Today I just went solo. That was a mistake. I don't know what the fuck I was thinking to go solo to give my guy my worker the day off because that's the first time I did. I don't know knowing and I ordered more this year than I've ever ordered in the 20 years that I've been doing Free Comic Book Day. And we gave away, I did the count. We gave away more free comics than we ever have. And I've been doing Free Comic Book Day since they started. This is what we have left now, which is not, may look like a lot, but given what we started with, and you'll see those pictures too, it's not a lot at all. Um, and this is some of the stuff that we had. Most of this I showed you. It came from the table. These are some of the people that came in. Like I said, sometimes we were kind of I was a little bit overwhelmed, and then sometimes it would just be one or two people. But at no point in the day was there a free moment. So I had everybody try to pose, give me their goofy pose. Oops, go back there. This is I did have a lot of cosplayers. I'm sorry I didn't get a picture of everybody, but like I said, this guy almost I gave him his stuff. He purchased some stuff, and I almost forgot to get his picture. That's how busy we were. Dude, getting the kids into comics. This is a long time customer bringing his granddaughter in, so that was cool. This was her first comic book experience, and then those are the other guys. I took two pictures of those, and this is just some of the stuff that I was as I was flipping through it. Some of the things that I really say, hey, this Godzilla one's going to be cool. There's another group that came in. They're all happy. This is the thing I built the other day. Like I said, I build all my shelves by hand. So whenever I build something, I like to take a picture of it because I feel very accomplished. It's always important that I build everything here by hand. That's the Def Leppard one I was telling you guys about later. That's been written by the members of Def Leppard. That one did really well today. I Hate Prairie Land was kind of cool. That's the one I showed you guys. There's the Hellboy one that sold out. The Ultimate one that did well. Fantastic Four, Godzilla, The Scourge of the Serpent. This one got gobbled up. Let's see. Yeah, and then I had like a little video. Here you go. That was just something to let people know, hey, we're open. There you go. So when we did videos throughout the day, just to let people know, hey, because we weren't on the list. That's another impressive thing. This is the first time in a while that I was on the list because I don't get my books through that central source anymore. I don't get them through like the way Diamond does it. I get them through another distributor, and they don't put you on the list unless you are. It didn't matter. It didn't matter. We moved more units today than we've ever had, and that was being unlisted. So, and this is another thing about today. I do a lot of posting. I do a lot of social media. You never truly know how effective whatever your advertising campaign is until you get the person into the store and you get a chance to ask them how they find us. And then today I learned just how significant our ad campaigns have been, and I was happy to hear that because a lot of people, even though they chose the day to come through, they knew they've been following us. They went to certain merchandise in the store that I featured on our sites and on our Instagram, and they went to it, and this is their day to come get that thing that they've been waiting for. So I like I said, there's a reason why I say that pre-comic day is my favorite day of the year as a retailer. And like I said, even though I am drained and exhausted, I loved everything that happened today. It surpassed my expectations, so it was a good day for me. So, all right. Any last words? William is a carpenter. I'm a guy who can use a drill, a saw, wood glue, and angle brackets. I don't know if that makes me a carpenter. That sounds like somebody who actually knows what they're doing. I'm good enough to get what I need done. That's it. But it's always important that I build it. Because my biggest accomplishment was that everything I built here I built with these two hands. You can never have a bad day when you look at the fact that on your worst day these hands built this place, and it built the board behind me. They built the counter that all this is on. The one that you saw, all my variant. When I take you guys on the tour to the store, which I might do tomorrow, all that stuff I built. I rarely buy racks. I have some stuff in there that I purchased or have had given to me, but almost everything in here is built by me. Saves money too. No, that was just some generic hip hop music. I need to order. I don't even know if I can sell these. I think I get sued by DC. Let's see. All right, William, can you mount my TV on the wall? I can barely mount mine on the wall. I actually did mount. I actually do. I mounted my TV on the wall. Kind of there it is right there. So I can do it, but you're probably better off doing it yourself. I feel a lot better for you if you did it. Yeah, I have to. Most of the stuff I put it's designed for the space that I have to put it in, so I have to measure. I measure all the time. Measure a bunch of times before I cut. Measure twice, cut once. I think Brad is on his Tinder. I'll leave that to you and Brad. All right, guys, that's a horrible note to leave it off of. But yeah, we'll see you
I
tomorrow.
would have a Tinder.
If you don't have to defend that. All right, I'll see you tomorrow. Don't know what time, but it'll probably be earlier than the 10:30 time unless something comes up. And that's it. Been a tiring day. Please like, subscribe. I still have some free comic book stuff left. I'll be here for another 20 some odd minutes, and then I am going to whatever I don't give away to customers tomorrow. I am going to donate to the Children's Hospital and the Critical Care Comics. They visit people in hospitals dressed up as superheroes, and it would make my day to know that whoever didn't pick these up, that these things are being given to people who actually need something to take their mind off of things. So good. All right. Yeah, it was a good day, Aaron, and happy remainder of Free Comic Book Day to everyone. And I will see you. Actually, we're gonna get out of here before midnight. I will see you tomorrow.
Later, guys.